This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 636 for December 30th, 2019. 2020 predictions. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpeer.
Hello.
And the Nymph.
Hello.
Last week, talked about our top 10. If you haven't listened to it yet, we're not going to spoil it here. We'll give you time. Go check it out. This week, we're done with 2019.
Mm-hmm. It's trash.
Good year.
Throw it in the garbage. Let's go. Let's move on to the
as
new
great
harvest.
as it was, those are old games. Throw them in the trash, too. 2020's coming, throw consoles in the trash. Whatever.
Yep.
You guys can't do that anymore. You all went digital.
That's right.
Throw your consoles in the trash, people.
I can throw
That's
my
right. We have
console in the
xCloud
trash,
now.
just not my hard drive.
Stadia is alive and well, sheeple.
There you go. for a couple more weeks. Let's get into predictions early. But yes, we're here to talk about our probably hilariously wrong predictions about 2019, and then we're going to talk about our probably incredibly intelligent choices for 2020.
Yes.
So, if you've never joined us for the predictions show here, let's just go over the rules here real quick. We have a new section here at the very beginning where we're going to talk about the games we were excited for in 2019, and we'll go over some of our comments that we left on some of these games.
Okay.
We will crown a new winner of Most Correctest. So this will be 2019's Most Correctest. Matt from Oz was last year's winner, so we'll see if who is going to be the right one this year.
From Oz like Dorothy or from Oz like Australia is what I want to know.
Probably Australia, but I don't know who that is, and I think that's the only year that Matt from Oz put in their predictions. So I don't know. I had these predictions from last year in a sealed envelope in a secure location, a facility,
A podcast server.
A Google Drive document that we have kept sealed until now. So we have not been listening throughout the year or anything. So we have not shaped any of our predictions here. We're going to go through the four categories like we usually have: Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony, and then general/other, including our three predictions. And then including anyone who sent them in from the community. So thank you in advance to the community members who sent them in. And then at the very end, we'll talk about what we're looking forward to in 2020 for those game releases. And one final little bit here. None of us have prior knowledge of anything in the industry. These are all educated guesses or poor jokes and nothing more.
Yep.
So don't buy stock or don't. I mean, if you want to hire us to make predictions, TVGPfans@gmail.com. But otherwise, don't make monetary choices over our poor judgments.
There's already been a couple predictions I've had to write off because I don't pay attention to the industry a whole lot.
Right.
And then I go and fact check it, and I'm like, oh, this is already a thing. So
Yeah, it already happened. Okay. All right, let's cover the games we were most looking forward to in 2019. Moon, you had a list of 11, starting off with Control, which was well-founded. Wolfenstein Youngblood, which
I never got around to playing.
Yeah, me neither. Ace Combat 7.
Never got around to playing.
Yeah. Crackdown 3, your direct quote was, "I'm excited, but kinda not."
Appropriate.
Yeah, I think that fits. Anthem, also excited, but kinda not. Your hope was that it's good. My direct quote was, quote, "If they didn't learn the lessons from Destiny and The Division, they kind of get what they deserve," end quote.
Okay.
So, a little harsh, but whoops.
The
Division
of the video game industry, he says.
Right. Whoops. The Division 2, which I need to keep remembering came out this year.
Yep.
Metro Exodus, which I think we all...
It didn't come out this year, I don't think. I think it's being pushed to next year.
Okay. The Resident Evil 2 remake, which you obviously played. Jump Force, you said, I can't not be hyped about this game.
I was hyped, and then I discovered more about what the game is, and I deliberately never played it.
Yeah. Sekiro, which...
I wish.
Yeah, I missed that one in 2019 too. And Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, moving on from that one.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 starts my list. Crackdown 3, Anthem, Tales of Vesperia, the remake, remaster, I guess. Dead or Alive 6, which I never got around to playing. Toe Jam Earl Back in the Groove, which, boy, was certainly a controversial game this past year.
Yep.
Team Sonic Racing, which I actually just never got around to playing either. Catherine Full Body, which was also a frighteningly controversial game this year.
Yep.
Gears 5 with a question mark because we didn't know if it was going to come out in 2019. Thankfully it did. The Medieval remake, which I never got around to playing either.
Stop me if you see a pattern, folks.
Yeah, a release that I don't know when I will give up on, Skull and Bones. Ever the optimist.
If that's not in your predictions for games you're looking forward to next year, put it in there right now. I need that to be the Duke Nukem of this show.
Exactly. And lastly, Twin Mirror. I say Don't Nod has my interest, and Moon says it's your control.
Yes. If I'm right, this is also... That's the 2 Hitman game, isn't it?
Yes, where they're like going through dimensions and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into the meat of it. Our predictions for 2019, starting with you, Moon. You say no next-gen Xbox announced. They push hard on the X instead of talking about the future. I thought that was going to be a shoo-in, because you thought, like, well, why would they bother talking about the next thing when there's the X is still incredibly powerful, but...
Yeah, to be honest, they still barely... I'm not arguing for points here, but I still think they've said nothing really about the new one.
Oh.
No, just like SSD, super fast, Scarlet. No VR.
Yes.
Yeah. You say they at least announce the streaming box at E3, if not release it.
Nope.
Yeah, that also seemed a shoo-in, since they were talking pretty hard about that in 2018, and then 2019 it just kind of...
Yeah, I think they've learned from previous mistakes, and they're not going to put something out that's not ready. And the fact that xCloud is now in public alpha, I think, or public beta.
Something like that,
private beta or something, like... They're doing it slowly. They're not, I don't know, rushing something out the door late in the year when maybe internet networks are not up to it just as of yet.
Whoops. You predict they push hard on Game Pass on PC, which very much so. That wasn't super strong out of the gate, but
didn't even exist at the start of this year, did it? And then it's like so. I feel like that's so strong. Like they dropped it at E3, and it just seems to have gone from strength to strength.
I want to say that they didn't say anything about it until about E3, and then all of a sudden they're just like, "Oh, hey, you have all this stuff now too."
Yeah, like, oh, we're putting games out on PC too. It's like, oh, you are? And they're like, yeah, it's a small start. It's only like 75 games.
It's only beta. Don't worry about it.
Sorry. Yeah. Your long shot prediction: 4 new games teased or announced in 2019, hopefully new IPs.
I can't even remember. Did they announce 4 new games at E3 or at X19? I know they've already announced Rare's working on a new game. Yeah,
they didn't show that. They showed Obsidian's new game, that like backyard battler game. They showed a lot of third-party stuff at XO19.
Yeah, I don't know. They may have announced 4 games between E3 and everything else that's gone on.
But I feel like E3 this year was very much, here's the stuff that's coming out before next E3. It's not really, hey, here's a bunch of brand new stuff.
Yeah. Which seems to be something they're focusing more and more on E3 this is the immediate future. Let's talk about it. Let's go.
Yeah. Here's the stuff you can get in the next 12 months. Yeah. And our perennial guess, still no first-party Xbox wireless headset.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be correct. I predict Microsoft expands Game Pass to PC, but that doesn't really mean much. Maybe has 1 or 2 PC exclusive games, but it's mostly cross-platform stuff like Forza Horizon 4. Very happy to be wrong about that.
Yep.
I'm very happy that it's like every month they're like, here's 15 games coming to Game Pass on console, and here's like 12 different games that are also coming to PC.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, though, Forza 4 is there.
Mm-hmm.
It is, yes. And it's real good on PC.
Yes.
I predict Microsoft details their new console plans at E3, ask for fan feedback to help shape the new console. They continue to lay out their 3 console plans, the X, the S, and the streaming box. No details at all about the new console. Half and half.
Yeah.
I feel like they're a lot less interested in fan feedback this time around, as opposed to when Scorpio was being developed, where they're like, you tell us what you want. Like, tell us all the cool stuff you want. And they're like, we know what you want. You want the most powerful console, and that's going to be Scarlet. Yep. It's like, okay, cool. And then I say we'll start seeing their new focus on games start to bear fruit in the second half of the year. Yeah, I mean, Gears 5 came out.
Yeah, I mean, Gears came out, Outer Worlds came out, and
that's true.
Who knows what else they've got in the pan for like publishers they've got coming up
for March 2020 when all games are coming out.
Yeah. Gee, why
March
did I miss Sekiro? Maybe it's because now nobody releases things in the summer still. Everyone just releases it in January, February, and March.
That's right.
Yep.
All right, let's get into our scoring here now that we're going to talk about the community stuff. Musim says they buy Insomniac. Surprisingly, that was Sony that scooped them up. Yeah, I think we thought that the Insomniac purchase would be a pretty surprising one, even though Microsoft is buying pretty much anybody they could get their hands on that THQ didn't purchase.
Mm-hmm.
But that still went
THQ Nordic. Thank you very much.
That's right.
Let's not besmirch the good name of THQ.
I've seen a lot more articles lately that are just calling them THQ, and it's like, let's not. That's a slippery slope, guys.
Well, and at the time, I would assume too that Spider-Man wasn't really announced yet, so it made sense that because the last game that they made was Sunset Overdrive for Microsoft, and then they were just quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. At least 3 new IP announcements. I don't think so. A lot of it was like, hey, we bought all these companies that are just, they have a game in the pipeline right now, like Obsidian, who got published by Private Division.
Yeah.
So, like, we're not going to stop.
I absolutely love that news cycle when Private Division is a section of 2K, and 2K had like a shareholders call, and they were like, oh, profits are doing pretty well. We're especially pleased with the sales of the Outer Worlds, done by Obsidian. It's a real shame that Microsoft went and bought them.
Right. Cough, cough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of their purchases were like, hey, these companies are already working on stuff. We're not going to stop them from doing this. And then their next game will be kind of a bigger Microsoft-funded deal.
Yeah.
And he predicts they stay in E3, which give him a big old point. Give him a big old point for that one, because I don't think Microsoft is interested in going anywhere until E3 sort of locks the doors.
They literally bought a venue, so...
Right. Yeah. T-Bomb Rock says Microsoft purchases or acquires at least 2 new studios.
We got 4 at E3 this year, didn't we?
Yeah. I was trying to think if that was this E3, and it was, because 2019 was about 5 years long.
Yeah, really only about 2 months long at the same time.
Yeah. Design Labs lets you create your own custom Elite controller.
It doesn't. I wish it did still.
I was going to say, I don't think they did.
One of those things where it's like, I'm surprised you don't, unless manufacturing that thing is like a really delicate thing.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is the parts are so specifically made that even sticking like red rubber instead of black rubber in the thing would kill it.
Yeah. The Yakuza series is announced it's coming to Xbox. +1. I think that was an out of left field one.
Yeah. I think we give him +2 for that because no way did anybody see that coming.
Yeah. Bearded Lady says they'll attempt some sort of Game Pass / game streaming bundle thing, or at least announce their intentions. I feel like that might be in 2020, since xCloud is gaining steam now.
Yeah, they're pretty much doing everything but announcing it. They're dancing right around it. It's like the announcement is in the middle, and they're just dancing in circles around it, just waiting for the right time to jump into the middle.
Yeah, it's like Game Pass, or like Xbox Live Ultimate contains all of these various products and services we provide. And it's like, I see. Okay. And she predicts we'll slam dunk on Sony for skipping E3. I don't think they even really mentioned it. Sort of like, hey man, if you don't want to be here, we're not going to bother with you.
Yeah, I don't think they actually talked about it once. They should have done, but they didn't.
Yeah. Servo predicted expanded Game Pass on PC, including 360 library. Yeah, I think instead they said they're done doing that this year with 360 backwards compatibility.
I think they're done with 360 back compat period now. Like they've got as many third parties in as they can. They've done as much as they can with it. I think now it's a case of, okay, let's get all this Xbox One stuff ready for back compat for the next generation.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, like why bother putting 360 games on other stuff when we have the forward compatibility we're really interested in. New Elite controller with personalizing options. We did get a new one. I'm not sure what personalizing options means.
Well, it's just definitely got more customizable options within the actual controller itself. Like the amount of stuff that they've put in that controller is insane. I'll never use 90% of it, but it's still insane, the stuff they've put in there.
But can you laser etch your name into it?
I'm pretty sure you could find some place to do it.
No. Mike, no. Needs to come out of the box with my gamer tag on it.
I actually don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, I'll still give him a big old point for that one. Streambox unveil, no disc drive Xbox One S.
Not a Streambox, but the old digital S did get announced.
Yeah, and that is out, as much as I keep forgetting about it. Yeah. Gabeinator predicts a major breakthrough in 360 emulation brings 360 backwards compatibility to Windows 10. No, I mean, unofficial emulators for 360 seem to be doing really well. 360 and PS3 seem to be doing really well, but nothing official yet. Completely forgotten action game Stubbs the Zombie gets the HD remaster treatment. I mean, maybe that's a 2020 thing.
Didn't Spency work on that as well?
Did he work on that, or did he work on the Voodoo Vince?
Was that the one? He definitely worked on Voodoo Vince, I think.
Yeah.
He's been rapping the Voodoo Vince shirts for years.
Yeah. The acquisition war between Microsoft and THQ Nordic ends up with Microsoft buying THQ. Not yet. THQ continues to get bigger.
That would be hilarious, though.
Yeah. The Hannah predicts version of Xbox One without disk drive release date given at E3. Yep. New console plans leaked or released sometime in 2019. Yep. Microsoft announces Alpha Protocol 2 in development by Obsidian. Sadly not. 2020 is a great time. Sadly not. I will only be reading this entire string of names one time like I did last year. Johnny Mac, a.k.a. Maximus Prime, a.k.a. UCA Mac, a.k.a. Mac Daddy Slims, predicts, first and foremost, Microsoft will announce the release date of the next-gen Xbox. They announced a release window. They didn't really say, like, November 20th, 2020, it's happening. It's just sort of like, I think they said holiday 2020, right? Yeah. Microsoft will package Xbox Live and Game Pass together for one fee of $100. Is that $100 a year? Game Pass, Xbox
I thought
Live
someone
Ultimate?
said it was like 80 or 90 a year.
It's a little bit less than that. Yeah,
nearest makes no difference. Get the point.
Yeah, like it's still they're bundling all that stuff together. Microsoft Games lineup for 2019 will actually prove to be very strong and help right the ship, changing the, quote, no games on Xbox, end quote, opinion. I feel like Game Pass did that this year, where it's like no games on, for $1 a month for the next 15 years. You get nothing but free games until your Scarlet console turns to dust.
Yep.
So, you give him +1 for that one. Late Elf says Game Pass multi-platform. Yep. More AAA releases going Game Pass day one. Yes. All of them. And Major Nelson gets a promotion. I don't believe so. I believe he's still a major.
Yes, he's still a major. He's not a corporal yet.
That's right, yeah.
I don't actually know ranks. Don't yell at me for that, please, people.
Yeah, it's not corporal.
What is it after? What is it after major?
My guess.
No. Geez, I don't know how the officer ranks. I was Navy, not Army, so I don't know if it's colonel after that or lieutenant colonel or...
Yeah. Real Name predicts tease or announce next Xbox iteration. Yep. By a Sony predominant studio like Naughty Dog or Quantic Dreams.
They don't think any of the purchases were predominantly Sony. It was Ninja Theory, Obsidian. I mean, Insomniac would have been that one as well, but...
Right. Yeah, they were all kind of third-party or like Microsoft-leaning studios. They wow at E3 with massive Microsoft platform exclusives.
I feel like they wowed at E3, but not necessarily with the exclusives.
No, and I feel like they showed off Halo Infinite, but not enough to say
Nobody knows
like...
what that thing is still.
Yeah, they showed like 30 seconds of gameplay, and it's like, here's a hallway. I ran down it. Scarlet.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's get into our 2020 predictions for Microsoft, starting with you, Moon.
Okie doke. Let's start with probably the most difficult one. What's the new console called?
Yes.
I'm going to go with the new console is called the Xbox.
Oh, the Xbox. The only Xbox you'll need.
I'm going to go with just Xbox. Not just Xbox, but you know what I mean. And they're going to pull an Apple, and it's just going to be Xbox, open brackets, 2020, close brackets. Like, even not even having the year afterwards, but just calling it the Xbox. You've got 5 years, 3 to 5 years if you're going to do another mid-generation skip again. If you're not, then you've got 5-10 years to run that name in, and then when you release the new Xbox, there's enough of a time difference there to be like, I want the new Xbox. Just like people walk into an Apple store and say, I want the new iPhone. They don't mean the iPhone 7, they don't mean the iPhone 7S or the 8, they mean the 10 or whatever number the iPhone is up to at this moment.
Who knows?
Yes.
It's like the iPad where it's like, oh, you just get the new one and it's the 2018 model and that's the most recent one. Yeah.
Price point, $499. I think they're going to go $500 with this.
Yeah.
Majority of the titles are going to be backwards compatible all the way through Xbox One. Not the Xbox One, but the Xbox original Xbox. So I think everything that they've got back compat right now, I think moves forwards with it. And I think pretty much all, if not... majority, if not all, of the Xbox One titles go forwards. That's a lot of it is going to be dependent on third-party publishers. So,
sure, there's like a tricky handful of ones that just don't go forward.
Is Rockstar going to want to resell Red Dead and GTA 5 again for a third platform? Yes,
ding, ding,
is
ding.
the answer to that.
Yes.
They buy 2 more studios. I think they're going to go after 2 more studios because they bought the quote-unquote big names have all gone now. Like Obsidian, Ninja Theory, all that's left is small studios. So I think they're going to buy 2 more studios and they're going to be smaller studios.
Like successful indie studios like Twin Motion, people like that.
Like Campo Santo would have been a really good thing for them to purchase before Valve snapped their grubby little mitts on them and cancelled all of their work. Places like that. It wouldn't surprise me to see them pick up some of the indie publishers as well and just have them be an indie publishing arm under Microsoft. Like what's the publisher we love?
Devolver?
No, Devolver's never going to go. Come on, they're
too big at this point.
They're too insane for anybody, I think.
That's true.
No, the Ad Infinitum or something like that. They put out Tacoma. They put out the phone game that we loved so much.
Oh yeah,
you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Those guys,
yes,
that would be a good purchase.
That. Like, pick up that publisher, and then you've got the name of Microsoft behind them, and just let them do their work. Because
there's your ID at Xbox publishing wing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
and I think xCloud is going to be a part of the Game Pass Ultimate thing. I think they loop that whole thing in, and be like, if you're gold, you get this. If you're Game Pass, you get this. If you're Game Pass Ultimate, you get this. And
get all the stuff.
You can do the xCloud stuff too.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. All new console-based stuff, because, come on, it's 2020 and it's a new console year.
It's happening, yeah. All right, Nimp, what about you?
All right, my first one, I had that they will be improving their console streaming service / application, because Mixer and Twitch hit it off real big this year. And I think they are going to improve their Mixer app on Scarlet.
Yes.
Yeah, like make it more integrated and
make it easier to use, because it's not bad to use now, but it is wanting in a lot of options. Especially compared to the PC with all the extra third-party apps that like OBS Studios and stuff like that you can download, that makes it a lot easier.
True.
My second prediction is much like Moon's second prediction. I think they're going to buy 3 well-known studios.
Okay.
Just because they seem to be in that phase.
Yeah.
And that's all I could really come up with for that. My final one, though, however, which is my joke one, is going to be Xbox changes its logo color to purple.
Hey, there you go. Inch in on Twitch's market.
Because it's time. They've already confused us with the names. You heard it from Moon a minute ago when he was talking about backwards compatibility.
That's
Why
right.
not just change your logo for a new console?
Yep, change all of it. Yeah. I only had 2 predictions this year. Microsoft seems like a fairly straightforward 2020, I think. I think they're going to announce the launch name and price at E3, and it will launch in October. I think getting out well before Black Friday on the holiday, so you're going to have the first wave of people buy it when it first comes out, and then by the time Black Friday lands at the end of November, you'll have the second wave of stock in stores, and there won't be any price drop, but it'll be, hey, you want to buy the old Xbox? Whatever. Like, here's the brand new thing. And I also agree. I think it's going to launch at $500. I don't think they push past that price, even if they do 2 models. I think if anything,
500 is the top end model.
Right, and like the lower end, that'll be the highest model, and then if they have a lower end model, that'll be much cheaper. I don't think they push to $600. And I think they announce Game Pass backwards compatibility for the next console with nearly all of the Xbox One titles supported at launch. So I think, as opposed to them focusing on all Xbox One games at launch, I think their main focus is, if you have Game Pass, all of those games for free just go right on your Scarlet. Like, if they're not on Game Pass, we'll get to those as they come, or in another wave or something like that. But I think they really push the value of Game Pass, and especially with xCloud and Live Ultimate and all that stuff, I think they say, if you want 400 free games with your Scarlet day one, Game Pass is your solution.
I mean, I think the launch days of old are gone at this point.
Yeah.
Like, companies can no longer get away with, here's a new console and 4 games.
Right. Or like 2. Here's Knack. Yeah. And it's like, well, yeah. All right, let's move on to the community predictions. Musum starts off with new Xbox releases in September, so he's going even earlier than I am. No major first-party launch titles like Halo Gears or Forza for Xbox One 2, which he's slipping a console prediction, name prediction in there too. And Microsoft announced new IP, and it's a Sony-style third-person story action game.
Oh, it's an Uncharted game.
Yeah,
I once got a lot of flack for referring to all Sony exclusives as Uncharted games.
But I think he has a really interesting point, because I think when you look at Sony's output for like 2018 and 2019, those games have been a lot of what they've been putting out, and Microsoft has a much more varied release platter, but they don't really have that type of game, like your Horizon, your God of War, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Your character action stuff. So, Optimus Servo says new console name will have something to do with it being in the 2020 decade. I hadn't thought about that. That's the Xbox 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. God, that'd be.
God, this all sounds stupid. I hate video games.
I know.
And the funny thing is this is all literally caused by just through the optics of being a smaller number than your rival. Like,
right. Just call it the Xbox 5 and just get parity, and we can be done with it.
I had the funny thought too when in Musum's last prediction, he was like the Xbox One 2. I'm like, great, because that's what we need people calling this, is the Xbox 12.
Oh, man, you mean the Xbox 1, 2, 3? Like, man. Elite 2 custom controller process. That would be really great if they can figure out how to do it. At the very least, laser etch your gamer tag. Yeah. And Scarlett's console will be white.
Ooh.
I think that's a given for like down the line, but that would be really interesting for like, here's day one, only console color is white.
I hate white. Like white consoles, white people. I hate... Sorry, I couldn't help it. No, I hate it as a console color because it looks filthy real quick. I mean, go get me a white SNES. Even a gray SNES. They don't exist anymore. They're all either black or like yellow.
Yeah. T-Bomb Rocks predicts xCloud will be announced as part of Game Pass. Hopefully, probably an easy point. More third-party Asian developed games will come to Game Pass, including Atlas games. That'd be a big get, where it's like, Persona 5 Royal, coming to Game Pass. It's like, oh no.
Buy Sega already, Microsoft. Just do it.
Sure. You got the money.
You replace them in the market, and I'll replace them by buying them.
You have the money, and Sega wants the money. Just make it happen. And Project Scarlet will release before the PS5. We'll see. I'm going to count that one as not like a week before, but like maybe a month or two before.
Yeah.
Because one's going to launch like a week or two before the other.
I think we might end up with the fated day when they both drop at the exact same day.
My credit card would appreciate it if that didn't happen. I just get a phone call where it's like, you just spent $1,200. Is that you? Did you do this?
We shut down your credit card.
Yeah, I'm calling an adult. Like, can you? Late Elf, aka that guy on Twitter, whatever you please, says Project Scarlet rumors will fly by May/June about 2 additional types of console hardware, which will last 6 weeks, and we'll all forget about it because of the PS5.
When did he post these predictions? Do we have a date on them?
No, but
because at time of recording, literally either today or yesterday, they're already talking about an all-digital version of the next-gen console for Xbox.
I think it was before that. I think he got that stuff in pretty early.
Mark him down for half a point, a year
There
early.
you go. Yeah. The pipeline between newer games and Game Pass releases will narrow further, making I Only Buy Digital fans both happier and richer, provided they have the patience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like that was a real push from Microsoft this year, saying like, hey, if you have Game Pass, all of our stuff is day and date there, and now you can preload half of this stuff. So you don't have to worry about it at all. And Game Pass will wait until October or November to drop Final Fantasy XIII Collection to sweep it under the rug. Hey, wait a minute.
No, if they're going to do that, they announce they're going to Game Pass on console launch release day.
That's right. Put out the Scarlet and this other stuff. And hey, Scarlet.
Mm-hmm.
Winemaker Joe says new Xbox will be cheaper than PlayStation, but no physical media. Backwards compatible with Xbox One digital purchases only. That's really interesting, saying like, Scarlet will be cheaper, but you won't buy any discs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Console is another simple black box. You can't go wrong.
No. Yeah, classic design, stays classic for a reason.
And keyboard and mouse support for the new Xbox at launch. That would be interesting, because both consoles support keyboard and mouse for a select number of games now. So I wonder how many.
It's only like very minimal. Like, you don't have as much control over the keyboard and mouse as you would on PC. It's very minimal what you can do with it.
Yeah, and only like a handful of games support it. Like Fortnite supports it, and I think PUBG and a couple of other games. TVGP alumnus The Hannah says Project Scarlet ships a SKU with no disk drive.
Again, people reading the news stories before posting your predictions.
I think this one got in before that too. Project xCloud gets its final name and launch date. That's not a thing I have thought about, that xCloud is not going to be the final name.
It needs to be.
Yeah, I feel like when you looked at like, what was the Kinect's name?
Nautilus or something like that? Natal?
Yeah. Natal, yeah, where everyone's like, Project Natal. All right, we're going to buy a Natal. And they're like, the Kinect. And people are like, the what? Come on. That's dumb. I like Natal. It's like, okay. But xCloud, I think, you can call it something like streaming. Like there's a streaming tab in your phone and the app and all that stuff. And you just still call it Project xCloud. I think you'll be okay.
It goes with everything. Gold, Game Pass, xCloud. Like, it's already got the name kind of.
Got cloud in the name. Xbox Cloud 20. There we go. Final name. And then last prediction here is Phil Spencer continues to rule.
Yes.
That's pretty safe. That'd be like top 10 anime betrayals if he just turns into a monster this year. Like, Spencer, you were the chosen one.
I didn't know this. Dude is 51. Looks like he's about 32.
Wow, yeah. That's good for him. Skincare routine. Important.
Or just keeping active.
Yeah, that's true. Both things I'm not doing. Lucian DC predicts Microsoft will release a small box to compete with Stadia and completely destroy Google because of Game Pass. That's interesting. I hadn't really thought about just releasing like an xCloud
streaming specific box.
Yeah, like like a Chromecast or something. Like it just has an HDMI on the end, plug it in your TV, and then stream in games.
I mean, honestly, you could just release a full-size box, and Microsoft at this point would still destroy Stadia.
That is fair. Yeah. Hopefully, by the time this episode releases in a little bit, that Stadia is still around.
Yeah,
it doesn't look good.
Yeah. Microsoft will release the new console. People will rave over the tech specs. It will be named something stupid, and the UI will still not run smoothly.
That's the biggest concern for me, is the UI. I mean,
just make it run smoothly.
I am an X-bot. I have no problem admitting that my blood runs green.
Spency for life.
I'm a Klingon. So I'm perfectly fine saying that the UI on the X sucks. Like,
it's sluggish.
I don't like the UI on most of the current platforms. They just feel terrible. I miss the blades. Give me the blades.
Bring back the blades. And Microsoft will reacquire Bungie and immediately forces them to rename and reskin their new unnamed project Halo Infinite: Unlimited. I feel like Bungie going independent this last year kind of broke the internet for a little bit. If Microsoft gave them a check big enough that they wouldn't care going back, I think the internet would just go down for 2 or 3 days.
They also just got a big check for like $100 million from China. So
yes, yeah. Monkey Senior predicts with all their studio acquisitions, Microsoft finally decides they have enough characters to make their own Smash-esque game.
Yes, please. 1,000% yes, please. I'm sorry, but if Sony can get the BioShock people in, I'm pretty sure Microsoft can get a hell of a lot more than just that.
It's true. New Viva Pinata game launch title for next gen Xbox.
Yes.
I mean, I was already getting it, but come on, please. And the next Xbox doesn't have a number in its name. Ooh, Moon. Oh, see? Great minds think alike. And rounding out our predictions for Microsoft in 2020 with Maximus Prime, they will come in hard with their new console, meeting and exceeding expectations. The launch of their new Xbox couldn't be more different than the Xbox One.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying. That's a cheap point there. Come on.
Well, but I feel like Spencer has been talking about that all year, saying like, look, with the impending release of Scarlet, we screwed up the Xbox One's launch. Mm-hmm. I will admit it. We've turned it around, but boy, we cannot do that again. So
yeah, but at the same time, they also had someone who didn't care about games in charge of a gaming division.
Sure. That's an excellent point.
And you tell me who cares about games and is running the Xbox division right now?
Jeff Gerstmann. I mean...
Jeff Gerstmann doesn't care about games. He's been in the industry too long.
That's right. He hates them now, yeah. They doubled down on Game Pass and bundled 3 to 6 months in with the launch of their new console.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they're going to do here, because I feel like you could go either way, where it's like that you do then the second wave, because early adopters are probably going to have it already anyway. Yep. So do you bundle it in and it's free, so like it doesn't really matter, or do you not worry about it and say, you know, like, oh, you guys you nerds already have it, whatever, just buy the new box.
Even a month, like when you buy, we got, I think, pretty sure when I got my Xbox One and my X, there was like a 3-month gold card in there. It's like, dude, do you know who I am? I have gold for the next year and change, mate.
Yeah, I've been here 16 years, man. Yeah. The launch of the new Xbox comes with the new Halo, and it becomes a console seller and bringing the same feeling the original Halo had when the OG Xbox launched. Parenthetically, he says, I know it isn't happening, but I can dream, and some sort of laughing emoji. I mean, we know it's coming on launch, and I think they've said it's Game Pass on launch since it's a Microsoft Studios game.
Yep, it's day-and-date Game Pass, and from everything I understand so far, it's also Xbox One and Scarlet at the same time.
Okay. Right. Interesting. All right, let's move on to our next category. Nintendo in 2019. Start off with Moon Peer's predictions. Nintendo starts to sunset the 3DS.
Give me a point. They haven't announced it, but come on. Yeah, give me a
it's
point.
Like they just need to say the words like 3DS life cycle.
A lack of saying something is still saying something.
They're like 99% of the way there. Like they keep saying like, no, the 3DS is an important product in our lineup. It's like, no, it's not.
Mm-hmm. They're basically sunletting it like Sony did with the Vita, where they quietly shot it behind a building, but they didn't say anything to anybody.
Yeah, and they're like, Vita, the PS4. Right?
Oh,
yeah, like
you mean the thing that lives on the farm with the rest of our platform?
Right. The Switch. Yeah, our handheld console, the Switch. Yes. The Switch Lite. Yeah, the small one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They tease 2 new games. They're not 2 new IPs.
Well, I mean, come on. Look at the Nintendo Direct throughout the course of the year. That's an easy point for me. Thank you very much. I'll take care.
It's true. They both release the updated Switch and do custom prints for the Switch. Same price for the same tech, no huge improvements. Get like 10 points for that one. You just totally nailed that one. Then your Far Reach, the N64 Classic, gets announced.
Come on. Release it, you cowards.
That's right. Release Turok. It just has the 3 Turok games.
Come on, it has to be. If they do an N64 Classic, Turok has to be in that list.
Yeah, at least the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I predict Nintendo keeps their partial focus on the 3DS going, which sells steadily throughout the year. No new major titles, though, mostly keeps alive because it's very reasonably priced.
You can buy a 2DS for like $79 right now.
Yeah, like I feel like parents are still probably buying those just because there's like 400 games in bargain bins that you can get for your kids, but I don't think it's more than a blip every month. The Switch is just, it's like when the Wii came out. It's like, okay, this is the thing, the thing you get.
Yep.
The quote unquote redesigned Switch comes out, but it's the same thing with a larger screen, aka less bezel. No price drop since it's a quote unquote new console.
Nope, you're kind of right, because they are releasing a new version of the Switch that's the exact same thing, but with slightly better battery life.
Yeah, and for the same fantastic price.
Yeah.
No major reveals at E3. Most of their major franchises just came out in 2019 or are a few years off.
Well, big, massive cross for you there, because no major reveals at E3 immediately gets cancelled because they announced Deadly Premonition 2.
That's right. That's a major release in my heart.
It's the biggest reveal of the year for me.
Yeah. And I think they announced... Mario Maker 2 wasn't... It came out this year, but it wasn't released at E3.
Metroid they announced this year.
No, Metroid was 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago they announced it?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. Yeah. But I think most of this year was like, hey, another fighter is coming to Smash. Yes. Another... here's another preview of Animal Crossing. Here's another preview of so on and so forth. So, and lastly, Switch continues to be an indie powerhouse, but that starts to become a major problem in 2019. Nintendo won't work on curating the store at all, so it'll turn into what Steam looks like nowadays.
Tick.
Wow. I couldn't have got... the current thing on Switch is the race to the bottom where all of our games are 5 cents.
Mm-hmm, because then it gets it to the top of the charts, and then everybody sees it more, and then it stays on the top of the charts when the price goes back up again.
Yeah. Wow. All right, let's start awarding points to our community here, starting with Musum. New Zelda in 2019. They did announce a new Zelda at E3, but... did not come out this year.
But also, we did technically get a new Zelda this year.
We did, the most important Zelda. That's right. I forgot about that. New iteration of the Switch announced. Yeah.
It's an iteration, whether the difference is correct or wrong, it's still a different iteration.
Minor or major, it is. That's fair. New Switch controllers available to purchase for old version of Switch. Shockingly, they did not put out new controllers.
The one thing Nintendo does every generation, gives you 5,000 peripherals.
Yeah. T-Bomb Rock's Super NES titles coming to the Nintendo Online Service.
Ding dings.
+1. Nintendo announces a Summer of Nindies type event. No.
They should. So. They should.
I think... Instead, they've been focusing a lot on indie games on each Nintendo Direct, where it's like, here's a sizzle reel of a whole bunch, and we're just going to show off like 5 really cool or really big ones that are coming to Switch. Nintendo shows another revision of the 2DS/3DS. It's dead, Jim.
Yep.
Bearded Lady says, a Switch in the Moonpier household.
Hey!
+1.
That's garbage.
We bought them.
You can, you can fulfill that prophecy easily.
That's right.
I'll be honest. She probably forgot about that the second she hit send.
Yeah. Servo says Nintendo 64 Classic. Shockingly, no. Switch 1.5 with better battery but lower screen quality.
I'd go half for that. We give him a D rather than a ding.
Yeah. Nintendo as Nintendo. Not a lot in 2019. Mm-hmm. Other than, failing to do online stuff.
Literally, that was going to be the next thing that came out of my mouth was like, other than, being back in 10 years.
The internet. Yeah, that brand new thing. Gibbon Air says Pokemon Gen 8 announced and released by year's end. Check.
Yep.
Bandai Namco goes all in on the Switch, announces Xenosaga HD Collection as a Switch exclusive. That would have been a good bundle to release, but Bandai Namco seems to not be super interested in the Switch.
Or video games.
That's fair, yeah.
No, they're still interested in video games.
Yeah, just publishing Double Fine's games. Yeah,
they're looking at what everyone else does before they do a new release.
Yeah. That's right.
Bandai Namco are heading the way of Konami real quick is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Skyward Sword HD announced somehow they managed to make the control scheme work this time around. Not yet. Maybe.
Nope.
The HANA Switch hardware revision formally announced. +1. New Zelda game teased, +1. Switch Online gets more classic games, Super NES, Game Boy Advance, +1. Jeez.
Can we eliminate him from the most correctest just because of,
he wins too much.
He's a former show host, so surely he has to be evicted just like us.
That's right. Maximus Prime says they will release the Switch version 2 or wherever they decide to call it. It will have a brighter, slightly larger screen and better battery life, but that's about it.
Half a point.
Half a point on that. Yeah. Nintendo will totally dive bomb in regards to games released from first-party studios, but will have some great third-party early this gen and a few last-gen games released on the platform to fill the void. I don't know. Mario Maker did really well this year. Smash is just killing. There's like 400 characters in Smash right now.
Getting into Smash right now feels like getting into Dead by Daylight, where you just load it up and you're like, here is 56,000 DLC packs. Have fun with that.
If you're a company with $20, you can too get in Smash. The Vitality sensor is back, laughing emoji. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, they will officially end production of 3DS.
Technically, the Vitality sensor kind of is back.
Yeah.
Because they did do like Ring Fit or whatever it's called, which is
Ring Fit.
Kind of a Vitality sensor.
Yeah. It's a thing will sadly never come out. Late Elf, his first prediction is just implosion. I think they did okay this year.
I mean, if we're talking about the Metroid developers, we can talk about some implosions.
Sure. I think everything else went okay. Nothing major, nothing crazy. No
it's
internet.
There and it's still working.
Yeah.
The same way you remember it from a year ago.
Yeah. More Labo-like releases. That's a plus one because they put out a bunch of sets. They put out the VR thing. They put out, and they like supported the VR thing in a bunch of their games. So, still no Waluigi love. I mean, that's a free point, but I'll give it to you. And Real Name says new Switch hardware. Yep. And new Metroid game. Sadly, no. All right, Nintendo in 2020. Moon, you're up to bat.
Okay, so Nintendo are going to keep doing what Nintendo do, which is a general prediction, so I will get more specific. They will not improve their internet at all. So the online is going to remain the same on the Switch, despite everybody telling them for the past how many years has the Switch been out now? That it's garbage. They're still going to just stick with what they know. At least one new peripheral comes out this year.
Okay. You're talking like things like Ring Fit,
something like that. Gotcha. Some other stupid way to use those stupid controllers to do something stupid.
Yep. Something like a fitness JRPG.
Yeah, like a fitness JRPG, or a VR set made of cardboard. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
We get dates for the big three titles: Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid, and No More Heroes 3. All get full-on trailers, like new trailers, new everything in 2020, and are announced for dates all 2021 and beyond.
Okay, so the three big releases aren't coming out next year, but they'll say this is coming out March 2021.
Yes, March 2021 for probably No More Heroes, probably summer 2021 for Breath, and let's say December 2021 for Metroid, because give them as much time as you can possibly give them.
Yeah.
No new hardware, no new consoles, no new nothing. They're going to stick with exactly what they've got right now because they've still got another 8 years with the Switch or something before they decide what they want to do next.
Yep.
And generally speaking, they're just going to do what they do best, which is to do their own thing and pay zero attention to the rest of the industry and just continue plugging away and making hand over fist money.
Yep. I think that's fair. Nimp, what about you?
All right, my first prediction is that they implement some sort of trophy/achievement system like they did with Luigi's Mansion 3.
Okay.
I am not saying it's going to work, and I am not saying it's going to be great. I'm just saying it's going to be there.
Is it going to be Nintendo's version of Steam achievements where it really doesn't matter?
Yeah.
Right.
My next prediction is also that there will be no new Switch versions this year because it seems like I can't imagine what else they would do at this point, and they pretty much pushed out a bunch of stuff this year. So.
Yeah. And I feel like it might... We were talking about the iPad earlier, where it's like now there's two versions of the Switch. It's like, here's the older one, and here's the newer one with a little bit better battery. Like I could see in a couple more years they'll release another one with a more efficient battery, but they kind of don't mess with it.
Well, I could see them pushing for something more powerful, but knowing Nintendo at that point, it would just be a different console.
Yeah.
So that's why at this point I'm just like, they're not going to do anything this year with it.
Yeah.
And then my last prediction is something Metroid.
Okay.
Because they have just been quiet. Yeah. And we got the confirmation that it's still being worked on, but that's it.
Yeah.
And then we hear that they scrapped the original concept and they're pretty much building it from the ground up again. And then we hear nothing. So
yeah, we'll get something.
Yeah.
I'm predicting we'll see a new Pikmin announcement this year.
Oh, you wish. I wish too.
Unfortunately, it's not a Switch game, but it is a mobile title.
Oh, come on.
The monkey's paw curls yet again.
And that would be good for the energy too, because you don't have the energy to send your Pikmin to go and attack this thing. Right. So therefore, wait 10 hours or give us $2.
Yep. Wait until your ship fuels up or some other horrible idea. Nintendo will not produce any further Labo sets in 2020. I think that's a deadline. I think they put out a bunch of them. They tried a bunch of ideas. It did fine.
Wait, so let's get some clarification on this. They will not put out any new ones in 2020, or the end of 2020 is the end of the Labo?
I think they don't put out any new ones in 2020, and I think 2020 is the end of Labo because they ignore it at that point. Where it's just like, I don't know, man, if you can find one on stores, sure, like whatever. You can buy cardboard parts on their online store for another year or so, but they ignore it.
Here is a dumb prediction I want to add. They do put out something for Labo. They put out one more pack for Labo, and it's a Ring Fit tie-in where you make cardboard weights, and then you put the controllers in the cardboard weights. There's my prediction for Ring Fit.
Gotcha. And my last prediction, a Direct this year, I'm not sure when, just one of them, will have the release date for Metroid Prime 4 as the final item in the video. So it'll be this whole thing, it'll be like, we have one more very special announcement for you. It'll just say Metroid Prime 4 March 20, 2021.
And it requires the Labo VR set.
Oh no! We can't get those anymore. Let's move on to community. Musim says they release a Zelda or Mario when the PS5 launches.
Interesting.
That would be a real big, new console. Pfft, you already have this one, and now it has Breath of the Wild 2. Bladow. Nintendo 64 games become part of the subscription service. That would be unexpected at this point. That would be kind of cool. Nintendo announced the Can't Switch, a Switch that can only be used on the TV. The idea of them just releasing something called the Can't Switch would be really great.
Yeah, or no Switch.
That's their April Fool's video this year.
That would be great.
Yeah. Optimus Servo says no new hardware, no mention of Labo, and the N64 Classic announced. So someone is carrying the torch for the N64 Classic. T-Bomb Rock says Nintendo will fund another second-party exclusive game like Bayonetta. Interesting.
Does No More Heroes count for that? Does Deadly Premonition 2 count for that?
I think Deadly Premonition 2 is an exclusive, right?
It is.
Yeah, I that might count. Yeah. Konami announces a Game Boy Advance Castlevania Metroidvania collection. Please just put it out on something. I have all of the Don't put it out on mobile. Put it out on something else.
No joke, those Game Boy Castlevania games are some of the best Castlevania games that exist.
They're so good. And you can play the DS ones and you can draw on the screen for the first one. Just put it out. A sequel to Mario and Rabbids is announced. I forgot about this game, and I feel like that will happen in 2020.
And it did really well. Really well.
It did really well. It's one of the Switch's best-selling games, and it's a really good game that I need to get back to. Late Elf, or that guy on Twitter, whichever you please, says, my wife will be talked into buying a Switch, play it for 3 days, and forget all about it. And Nintendo's happy you bought one. Thank you for service.
I expected that from my wife, but the Switch has become a constant in her lifestyle now.
Yeah.
Like when she's on the bus, she's talking about the Pokemons and the other games she's playing on the Switch, and the Civ 5s and the Carcassonne, the whatever, board games.
Whatever, all those other board games. Yeah. Deadly Premonition 2, do we need to say any more? Not sure when they'd let it drop. Curious to see how it'll handle scaling between screens. Yeah, very curious to see what that's going to be. Minecraft Dungeons will be better than has any right to be, and children will scream over it. I would like that to be really good as like an intro to Diablo games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Winemaker Joe says, redesign of core Switch with better Joy-Cons, better D-pad, and thicker grips. Interesting. The Joy-Cons drift is still the problem on that console. So I wonder if they just go whole hog and be like, it's Joy-Cons too, which we redid them. Let's go.
I don't like playing the Switch because my hands are large, and therefore I get what I like to call the PlayStation syndrome in my house, because I can't use the DualShock 4 either because my hands just cramp. And then I'm just like, oh, I've got RSI now for 5 more months.
Thanks, Sony.
Say the Pro controller for the Switch is a pretty decent size, and it's closer to an Xbox controller than it is a PlayStation. But even those have issues.
Yeah, and it's stupid expensive.
That's literally the reason why I bought that dongle, because I can play my Switch with the Xbox One controller.
Yeah. Xenoblade Chronicles X gets a Switch port. I feel like that might be something they announced this year, where it's like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is on the Switch already. We're bringing the original over the Switch. Well, this is the one we got left. So, Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 by end of year to counter PS5 and Xbox for Christmas. That would be a really smart move of them.
Yeah. Or Mario Odyssey 2.
Sure. Yeah, like one of their big tentpole. Metroid Prime 4.
I hate to say this. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what if they release like the trifecta of Mario, Mario, Zelda, and Metroid all during the release window of Microsoft and PlayStation, just for Nintendo to flex their arm and be like, no, we got this.
Yeah, we got all of it, and we have the install base already. Yeah.
I like Metroid. It's a very good game. I haven't played the quote-unquote best in the series versions of those games. Japan doesn't care about Metroid, man. That's only an America thing. Like,
yeah. I mean, at the very least, we might see a Metroid Prime trilogy Switch version, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. TVGP alumnus The Hannah says new full-size Switch SKU announced at E3. I mean, maybe. Breath of the Wild 2 gets delayed. That seems likely. And Waluigi in Smash. So, still holding a torch for that lanky purple dude. Lucian DC. Yeah. Lucian DC says, after some corporate restructuring, Nintendo starts to play fast and loose with its IPs, resulting in crazy guest appearances of all your favorite Nintendo characters in other franchises.
I wish.
That would be a crazy 2020.
They are slowly loosening the belts on their IPs. And the things that have come out so far have been truly magical. So keep on doing it. And then let's go from magical to great to garbage as quickly as we can. Yeah, let's just get it over with. Nintendo unveils plans for a Switch 2, which has 2 screens in a foldable clamshell design ethos. Like the Motorola Razr that just came out. Foldable screens are all the hotness. Whoops, my kid broke them. Yep. Also, here is the 3DS library now on your Switch. Right.
Nintendo delays Metroid Prime 4 again, no one is surprised. Probably. Monkey Senior says Nintendo announces their TV-only counterpart to the Switch Lite, the Switch Heavy. Like he and Musim are sharing this one.
Yep.
Nintendo extends their Switch Online retro game selections with the Game Boy. That'd be nice. The menus also controllable with the right thumbstick thing gains traction and becomes a standard for their games, i.e. Pokemon Switch and the Switch's home screen. That'd be okay. I'd like that. A little more, make it a little easier. Maximus Prime rounds ours out with they'll have a weaker lineup since most of their premier Nintendo titles will have released on Switch. I mean, other than Breath of the Wild 2, that might be a real concern, depending on what they eventually do with Metroid Prime 4.
True, but at the same time, they've done an amazing job with, like, rightly or wrongly, I insulted the Switch when it first came out for not having a whole lot of stuff on it, but Nintendo have literally, basically, since that console has been released one tentpole title every 3 months or so.
Yeah, yep. Like every quarter, it's like, all right, here's another giant game you got to get for your Switch. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. They'll come in third in console sales next fall. Probably. That's an interesting one. I wonder if when the PS5 and the Scarlet come out, if they drop the console price by, $50 and say like, oh, well, brand new price for the Switch. And
hold on. Let me stop.
$20.
Right, you're talking about Nintendo dropping the price on anything. How much is Mario Kart 8 new installs?
God, probably like $90 now. It just goes up instead of down. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the big N will finally, there's a word missing here, for third-party support, but it won't find it because they'll be focused on Sony and Microsoft's new boxes.
My guess is look for.
Yeah. That's interesting because I feel like there haven't been a lot of straight-up ports. Ever since the Wii, it hasn't been Call of Duty coming out, PS4, Xbox One, and the Switch. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't happen.
Because nobody wants to. Nobody wants to try and bug fix a game designed to run in 720p, like HD, 4K, HDR stuff. For the Switch, I like the Switch. It's a really cool console. It's not a current-gen quote-unquote console.
Right.
It's something completely separate, and that's fine. Yep. Ubisoft have got Just Dance games for decades for you.
That's right. All right, let's talk about Sony, our predictions for 2019, starting with Moon. This year, they announce a community event like a PSX happens in lieu of E3. They announce a PS5 there, but don't do a deep dive.
Swish.
Yeah. What did they call the event?
Well, it wasn't the PlayStation Experience again, was it?
It might have been, yeah.
So.
Yeah. It was like taking place mere blocks from E3, the PlayStation Experience. That's like, okay, cool. Anyway. Sony gonna Sony at least 3 times.
I'm gonna call that as a win for me.
Okay.
How many times this year did we have everyone can now do cross-platform play on on Sony? It's just up to them to switch it on, and then a developer immediately come out and say, that's a lie.
Right, and we can't do that. And they're like, oh, well, we meant to say cross-platform is in beta. It's like, Sony? Come on, man.
Then you've got how many executives, top flight Sony executives, have fled the building over this past 2 months?
Yeah, that's true. They also announced downloadable games for PS Now, but it's nothing you want to play.
So Sony gonna Sony, there's 3 examples, I'm calling it.
Oh, there are 3 examples we pulled out of thin air. Those are just the first ones we thought of. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sony gonna Sony. They announced a PS2 Classic. It makes all the same mistakes as the PS1 Classic.
Not yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was about to say they learned the mistake of the PS1 Classic, but I think that is me being an optimist, and they haven't learned anything. Yeah. With the PS5, they also announced the PSVR 2. It's not backwards compatible with the PS4. It's all new equipment. Not yet.
Not yet. We'll see.
I mean, Sony could still Sony that.
Yes.
Yeah. I predict Sony still misses E3, but has a video showcase of some sort to release around that time. Maybe a few trailers smooshed together.
That's kind of what they did.
I don't think that's when they started State of Play, but it was a little bit after that, I think. Like a couple months after that. Because I think they've only done... They do it every month, and I think they've only done like 3 or 4. So I think, pretty close. Sony starts whispers / quote-unquote accidental leaks around the PS5 to gauge interest. Doesn't come out in 2019. I got that one.
Yep, the leak started, and then they immediately went to whatever that website is that keeps breaking their leaks.
Yeah, Wired is like, hey, is all this stuff true about the PS5? And Sony's like, I gotta call you back.
We would like to sit down for an interview, please.
Yeah, we bought plane tickets. We'll be there tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Sony struggles overall in 2019 due to few must-have exclusives, and the ones that come out are poorly reviewed / sell poorly. This may happen unfairly because 2018's games were received so well.
Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but this year has been a real weak year for Sony.
Yeah, they had a big win late this year with Death Stranding, surprisingly doing very well. It's become a sales powerhouse, I think.
Yeah, but that's also because Sony threw every single cent of marketing dollars that they had everywhere.
Don't forget about Death Stranding, please.
I'm seeing podcast adverts for the soundtrack for that game. I mean, come on.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, but I feel like other than that, God of War came out last year. They didn't have a lot of...
last year, I think.
Spider-Man came out last year. So, they didn't really have a lot of first or second party large games this year, which is probably why they skipped E3.
Yep, that would be my guess.
And stuff like Ghost of Tsushima and all those other sort of games, those were never coming out this year. So.
I can now change what I wrote in my predictions now that I have the actual name of the game.
Samurai Ghost?
I will read it separately.
I think, and my last prediction is, I think it's a quiet year for Sony all around, which isn't what they needed.
Yes.
I think it was a fine year. They sold, they sort of stayed on the path. They sold some consoles. They didn't put out any huge blunders, but they didn't really put out a lot of stuff. Not first party or second party.
Yeah.
Third party did okay. Square Enix did okay. I'll just say that was about it. All right, community. Musum PS5 announced for 2020. Point for that one. New iteration of VR coming with PS5. Not yet, but I mean, it wouldn't be unlike Sony to be like, hey, by the way, E3 2020, also the new PSVR is coming out.
Why are you talking about Sony and E3 in the same sentence, dude? I mean, come on.
That's true, yeah. No other games get cross-platform support. Shockingly, no. There were a cup, at least one in there. T-Bomb Rock says the PS5 is not officially shown in 2019.
Yep.
Yeah, because the dev kit has been out there.
Let's not talk about the pizza slice console, please.
It's people who've been showing it from the wrong angle. It's the Roman numeral 5. If you flip it around,
that's a very good point.
Yeah, it just looks like a pizza warmer. But yeah, they to be fair, they have not shown anything, and they really haven't talked too much about it, other than our focus is eliminating load times. That's like, okay, that's okay. So who is that? T-Bone Rocks? Yeah, +1. Sony is still supporting the PSVR with exclusive titles. They are breaking the trend of leaving new tech out to die. Not first party.
Nope. That's none of that is a point at all. Come on, Sony gave up on the PSVR the second the new version came out.
Because there have been a couple of third party games that have come out, but it's like Beat Saber came to PSVR. Or
whatever the stupid Rock Band developers ones is. On PSVR?
I don't think so. I think that's only on one of the PC ones. I think it's an Oculus exclusive or something like that. Another Ratchet & Clank game is announced. No.
Nope.
Sadly. Servo predicts name change beta goes bad, remains a delayed mess. Shockingly not. The beta went fine. A couple of very small hiccups, and then it kind of, to no fanfare, launched, and I forgot about it until I just read that sentence.
And nobody cares.
Yeah. Quiet year with another PSX cancellation. It was a quiet year, and they didn't have PSX this year, I don't believe. They just did State of Play.
Oh. No, because I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did a PlayStation, like a big event like XO19.
Yeah, that was the E3 one. Yeah, that's true. PS Pro price drop and focus on one SKU. Nope, I think they're riding out those 2 SKUs and that price until this time next year. Gibbynator, Sony announces that the PS5 is in development. No specs, no price, no release window, just an official announcement. I get a 1 for that one. This is the year we finally learned something about Death Stranding. It came out, so we learned... We learned something. Yeah, well, I don't know about that.
They're still learning.
Yes, that is the accurate one. The PSN breaks beyond repair under the strain of crossplay, forcing Sony to rebuild their online architecture from the ground up.
I wish.
Instead of this happening, they made a deal with Microsoft, like to improve their back end. So
Sony got ahead of them breaking their own stuff.
Right? It's like, this thing is gonna break. Let's fix this. The HANA predicts new console formally announced. Yep, just securing this lead. PSVR revision / upgrade released. Nope. The PSN name change is a catastrophic nightmare and causes major issues on PSN.
It was definitely a catastrophic nightmare. It didn't cause great issues.
Yeah, the faith we had in Sony was outstanding. Maximus Prime, they will announce the PS5 and it will be received with a very mixed reception. Not as bad as the PS3, but nothing close to the positive reception of the PS4. With it being the end of the PlayStation dominance, with it beginning of the end of the PlayStation dominance will begin to show its ugly head. I think a half point for that, because I mean they announced it. I don't think there was a negative reception. It's sort of like, okay,
no, there isn't enough.
They finally announced it.
Either of the consoles right now to have any kind of reaction. It's just like, these are our goals. Like, yeah,
it's an idea. I have a word cloud.
It's all well and good Sony saying, oh, this is the menu system and this is what we're aiming and we want you to be able to do this. Go look at the Anthem reveal trailer and tell me how well that went.
Right.
I think a lot of people are just sitting on the fence waiting to see which version of Sony we're getting for this release.
Yes. Days Gone will totally bomb, and The Last of Us 2 will hit record numbers and be one of the highest rated games on the PlayStation 4. And the name change will break 1,000 of PS4s, and they'll pull the plug on name change plans until PS5. So, Days Gone
did bomb. I don't think it bombed justly, but it definitely bombed.
It definitely bombed. Word eventually got out pretty quickly that, hey, it's not a bad game once you invest some time into it. And I think it did solid numbers over the year, but it's not the franchise starter that Sony was hoping it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Last of Us 2 didn't come out this year, and name change didn't break anything. And lastly, Dreams will finally be announced and will be well received by critics, sell poorly, and be enjoyed for hundreds of hours by my children and wife.
Still not out.
Yeah, I mean, they had just recently announced that they're delisting the early access version, so
does that
they haven't announced
canceled?
the next
Does that
step.
mean it's coming out?
Right, like, yeah, they keep saying that, and then it's like, and the next step is, and they're like, all right, see you later. It's like, wait, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
also, I feel sorry for the guy from Days Gone, because dude's been in some pretty solid games that just don't sell well.
Really good games that nobody buys.
Mm-hmm.
Poor guy. Late Elf says PS Classic soft mod by February, hard mod by April plus May. Yeah, that's a +1 on that one. It's like almost immediately modded. It's just like, hey, just put your ISOs on this thing. They all work.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, here's one. Sony sues Soulja Boy on basis of his AliExpress handheld trademark violations. This is a news story I forgot about.
It wasn't Sony, but didn't somebody else immediately take him to court for that stuff?
Yeah, somebody else did. I think somebody else started like saber rattling and being like, dude, you can't do, like, we're going to bring you to court if you don't stop this. And he's like, oh, well, I think he like talked a good game where it's like, well, it's not really. And I think everyone told him like, just stop. You're not going to win against like someone like Nintendo. Yeah. PSVR Tetris ships with microdoses of hallucinogens. Somebody thinks it's just a new Luminous. If only. Real Name says they tease or announce new hardware. Yep. New Ridge Racer game. No, man. any day. Like, you could just, any day now. Just
Dude,
put it
they
out,
can't
man.
even put out Gran Turismo. So
yeah, that's fair. Horizon Zero Dawn 2 coming 2022. I'd like to see it sooner, but they sadly have not talked about that yet. All right, let's talk about our predictions for Sony in 2020. Start with you, Moon.
Okie doke. Going for my console spec and information here. PS5, $499.95.
Okay.
I think we get a straight up price point match between the two. I think both are $500, unless Sony's. And if Sony's, then this is going to be hilarious, because I hate to say it, but this is Sony coming off a good console generation for them. They did really well. And something tells me, and I apologize if this may sound slightly racist when I say this. I don't intend it to be. Brace yourselves, everybody. It's
I'm worried.
It's the different sides of the Sony company. Because we saw it.
Yes.
The PlayStation 3 was developed and launched by the Japanese side of Sony.
Mm-hmm.
And the PlayStation 3 was a questionable launch and a questionable generation as a whole.
Yes.
The PlayStation 4, the development was taken over by the European Sony, and then the release was pretty much handled by the American Sony.
Right.
It feels like the American and European Sony are running out of the building as fast as they can right now. And it feels like the Japanese side of Sony is taking back over control of the reins again.
That's a good point, yeah. Instead of like Sony worldwide, who should really be handling it?
I mean, technically it's always been Sony worldwide, but you look at the people they put out in front of this stuff, especially the PlayStation 4 launch, you had the English guy who was on the development side talking about the specs.
Yeah, the guy I can never remember the name of, but yeah.
Yeah, and then you had the American guys pushing the stuff to the American audience, whereas you look at the PlayStation 3 side of things, and there's a lot of Japanese people coming and standing forwards and pushing it, and it's like, it feels like that's a case of this is the side of Sony in control, so this is the side of Sony who are going to make the announcements.
And and Sony has famously had a power struggle ever since the PS1 was an extension of the Super NES. Like, there's always been this power struggle between 3 or 4 branches of like who gets to run PlayStation this time.
Yep. And it feels like we're heading back down to the Japanese side of things at this moment.
Right.
And Nintendo have shown us how great the Japanese market can be at some things and how terrible they can be at other things.
Right.
So I'm very curious to see exactly which side of Sony comes out.
Yeah, which Sony is running the ship.
Like Nim said, it's like you don't know which Sony you're going to get. And I hate to break it down to this is Japan Sony and American Sony, but look at the way they push it forwards each generational cycle, and it's pretty much been that.
It can be a real Jekyll and Hyde thing, where it's like, which one are we getting? Oh, the bad one. Oh, no. Yeah.
Like, I'm curious to see what happens with that, and with that in mind, the PlayStation 5 will have backwards compatibility. It will be very limited.
Okay.
Like, very, very limited. To the point where I'm probably expecting only first-party games will get backwards compatibility.
And like only the ones released next year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And expect The Last of Us to be re-released again, for example, on the new PlayStation.
Right, the PS5 version.
Yes. I think they come out with 2 new exclusive titles.
Okay.
And I think Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, which I wrote down as Ninja Samurai game, are both...
Working title.
I think they are both PlayStation 5 exclusive. I don't think they come to the 4. I think they both go 5.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean,
I feel like The Last of Us 2 slipping to PS5 only would be a problem from a marketing standpoint.
Don't get me wrong. I think that's going to be a problem too, but the stuff they're talking about in that game, we trace the heartbeats of every single thing in the environment at a time. That's not a this generation kind of thing.
That's a duck in a bath tech demo where it's like, only through the power of the PS5 could we bring the true version of this game.
So I'm concerned that those two are going to ship PlayStation 5 exclusive. And I hate to say this, but if the bad Sony comes out, then they're sure as hell going to be willing to say, no, these aren't coming out on the 4. You got to get the new stuff.
Right. I could see Ghost of Tsushima pretty easily, because it's like, I don't think that many people are that invested in it, but boy, Last of Us 2, boy, if that happens, just the internet will be insufferable for months. Yeah.
That's pretty much all I've got for Sony, because honestly, they're unpredictable at the best of times, and this is a new generation, so they're going to be triple unpredictable now.
Yeah. Nimp, what about you?
So for mine, the first one I have is back to streaming. I think Sony is going to try to launch their own streaming service in competition with Microsoft's Mixer. Or
that sounds a lot
Twitch.
like Sony.
Yeah. The next one that I have is that Sony will announce that they will release an Elite style controller for their DualShock 5s.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Like a premium, sort of premium controller.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
Don't know what that will be. I'm not talking like just like, oh, like how you can do with the Microsoft Labs. It's like, oh, you can change the colors now. However, no, I'm talking like an actual Elite controller.
Right. Like it has paddles. It has extra stuff on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then my final one, which I think it's funny that we were talking about VR, because I put down that Sony drops quietly a bunch of VR games.
Just like 2019 is just like, all right, we're pushing them all out. Interesting. I am predicting that Sony unveils PS5's full details at E3, and a major part of their selling point.
E3 again.
I know, but I think they're going to come back to E3, and I think...
Well, hold on. Start with that prediction first, dude. No, don't blend this in with something else.
No, I think that's the minor thing. I think they come back because they have the PS5 to talk about, so they'll have... their stage show will be primarily focused on, like, here's the stuff coming out in 2019 for PS4, whatever, PS5, you know, like, they want to show off... They want to show off, like, their zero load times thing. They want to show off... I think they're going to come with full backwards compatibility with all PS4 titles.
Okay.
Because I think they have seen the success that Microsoft has had with Xbox One's backwards compatibility, and they want to one-up them with it. I don't think it works. I think Sony's going to Sony something, and we're like, full backwards compatibility. But something fundamental about it just doesn't work.
Like it's running an emulator and the latency is like 4 seconds and stuff like that.
Or like the initial run of PS5s can't read PS4 discs. Like it's just like the decryption key is not in there or something, like just something silly. They announced
they didn't put a 4K drive in their next generation consoles.
They have a history of real dumb stuff like this. They announced the price, and it will be $600 at launch, and launch in October.
Interesting.
I think they, again, like with the PS4 Pro, they will sell the PS5 as that luxury item. The early adopter, they will not say get 2 jobs again.
You think they're going to Xbox X it, where you say this is
absolutely, this
is for you, the hardcorest of hardcore,
right?
And players.
And I think they're going to say like, this is for you. This premium price gets us to that zero. They're really going to push the like zero load times really hard and showing that on some PS4 titles. And I think they're going to eke out a little bit more power than Microsoft has, just like by the slimmest of margins, and be insufferable about it the whole time. Just like,
you know what's funny? I would love, because I mean, there's so many variables when it comes to building PCs and building specific machines for specific things. I would love for Sony to have on paper a console that is more powerful than the Microsoft version. But I would love for Microsoft to have the connections between the boards, between the RAM and the CPU, the way they talk to each other, be better. So technically it's more powerful than the Sony version.
Right.
So
or like Sony, they're both the same power but just for different reasons.
Yeah, and then Sony comes out talking a bunch of yab based on the paper stuff, and then when the actual tech websites get a hold of them, like, No.
Right.
That's not right, dude.
Right. This one's way faster. Yeah.
I'm already tired of hearing it just from hearing you two talk about it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. 2019 is gonna be 2020 is gonna be the worst.
I don't even want to look at this generation coming up.
Yeah.
Let's go talk about tetraflops.
Yeah. Oh God, heaven help us. My left field prediction: Sony announces they're dropping PS Now completely. It will not be supported on the PS5 at all. I think that stops with the PS4.
And what do we get instead? PS Pass?
Nothing.
Where you get to play games?
No, I think they instead focus on backwards compatibility of the PS4, and I don't think they announced. I think they tried PS Now, and I think it has largely been regarded as a failure for numerous reasons. And I think for once they just pull the plug on it and say, like, it's not. You got it on the PS4. It's still going to work for a couple of years, but we're done. We're done with it. And then I think Sony starts making noises about putting out a new PSVR headset, but nothing concrete shows up in 2020.
Okay.
I think it's a lot of like people asking them about, is the PSVR going to be supported on the PS5? And they're like, well, you know, as technology evolves and as we start looking at some stuff, you know, like, no, but yes.
The PS what?
Right, like the VR, we didn't put the Oculus? No. Like,
yeah, we already told you guys the Vita doesn't exist anymore.
Right, you guys keep screwing up the name, yeah. So I think they're going to I think they're going to be talking about it, whether or not something materializes in a couple of years or not. I think they're going to talk some stuff about it. Let's move over to the community. Musim says PS5 launches at approximately $500. The PS5 is more powerful than the Xbox One 2. Just every time I say it, I want that to be the
Xbox
name.
12.
Yeah. And a $500 controller added that is just a better Vita. That would be the Sony way of doing it, not like, we're supporting your phone and tablet better with remote play. It's like, no, you have to buy this other device that's just a rebranded iPhone. Optimus Servo predicts new console will be black. PS2 remasters is a focus. That would be really interesting. And 3 first-party VR games announced. There you go. A similar one there. T-Bomb Rock says a high-profile Sony executive will launch in exclusive will launch in PS Now. Interesting. That the polar opposite of my prediction, where it's like, let's get rid of this thing. They're like, no, let's double down. God of War 2 only in PS Now, only in streaming.
The Last of Us 2.
Oh, yikes. Yeah, maybe. Sony will focus less on indies, but focus on third-party exclusive content deals. Interesting.
It's a pretty safe bet. I feel like what indies has been their general approach for the past few years. Like, they were like, PlayStation 4, the console for the indies, and then they forgot about the indies.
Whoops, it started selling consoles. All right, never mind about those indies. God of War.
Yep.
Demon's Souls remake announced as a Sony exclusive. That would be I could see that happening, but that would be a real bummer.
Yeah.
But I could see it.
Well,
it'd be a real bummer.
I'm pretty sure Sony got published Demon's Souls.
Atlas published. So that's the famous thing is Sony passed on it, and Atlas published it on the PS3, and Sony's like, this thing is selling this game? And they're like, okay, Dark Souls, that's ours. And Atlas was like, oh, cool, thanks. That would have done pretty well for our company, but that's fine. Late Elf, or that guy on Twitter, whatever he please, says the PlayStation 5 will take us back to the late 90s by looking like it belongs in someone's truck next to RGB lit stereo amps. Just has wood paneling on the front.
These consoles better not have LED lights like computers. I swear I won't buy either one of them.
I never thought about that.
I didn't either until just now.
Oh no, I don't want that. I just really duct tape the front of it.
Yeah. You know what's really irritating for me? If I'm playing my Xbox, all I can see is that bright white light of the Xbox power thing just staring
that you can't
in the
tape
face.
Because it's capacitive.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is both a good thing and a bad thing. The thing I hate the most of my PlayStation if I'm downstairs playing it on the TV, I sit square in front of my TV about 8 feet away. Mm-hmm. All I can see is the reflection of that stupid light bar on the front of the controller. Always.
I have good news for you about the patent applications for the DualShock 5.
They've taken off the front bit and just left you with the top strip at the top?
They've taken all of it off.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
Which, by the way, is why I think they're dropping PSVR. PSVR uses that. Speaking of PSVR, Late Elf predicts Iron Man is going to look really cool. That was all in caps. But come up short on game length. That Iron Man VR has looked pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But I feel like if there's anything that's a given is that game is probably going to be pretty short.
Also, as much as I hate to say this, it's also a shooting gallery.
Yeah, like 98% of VR games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Final Fantasy VII Remake will leave half of the fans of the old one shaking their fists at the cloud or at cloud? ? Because we're old and oh god, we're going to get that scene in high res. Somebody grab the tissues.
Well, hold on. Which scene and which tissues for which purpose? Because there's a whole
that scene
thing
happens
to unpack
after Midgar, so I'm not getting that scene. Winemaker Joe, PS5 looks weird, but is I just like the plain statement of it just looks weird, but is 100% backwards compatible with all old PlayStation discs.
Like, on that point, can we just talk about how stupid the PlayStation 4 looks with its stupid angle?
It's weird. And like multi-layers, like it's a cake or something.
Well, yeah,
like it's
that's
a 3-layer
the thing.
cake.
Like they literally doubled out on it with the Pro, where they added an extra stack.
Yeah,
to the
here's
layer.
Another layer. You don't like it? Here's 3. It's just like, okay.
So, I am a classic individual. I like my boxes square and black, and that's it.
The Xbox One X looks really great. It is a small black square.
Mm-hmm. And also,
I don't really care.
Super dense.
Yes,
so heavy.
Yeah. Sony makes it so you have to use memory cards to upgrade internal storage and won't let you use external hard drives.
Magic Gate coming back for a 3rd generation.
That's right. Yeah. God, if there's
proprietary memory cards.
Like God, if there's anything Sony about the PS5, it's like, God, you got everything else right. Like the Vita. You just did this one thing super stupid, and now it's going to be incredibly expensive for the rest of time.
$1,000 for this hard drive, please. Thank you very much.
Right, for a 500 gig hard drive.
Yep.
And predicts it costs $75 more than Xbox. That's interesting.
Interesting.
So it'd be like $575 instead of $600. Interesting. TVGP alumnus The Hannah says PS5 officially revealed before E3.
Yep, I can see that. They did their launch event in January, I think, in New York this year for the PlayStation 4. So
that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, they just like randomly like, hey, we're going to talk about the new generation of consoles in January.
So
like,
for all we know, that is at time of airing 2 to 3 weeks away that we already now know about.
They're going to show it March 20th, 2020. PS Plus /Now/ etc. services get rebranded leading up to PS5 launch. Interesting. I wonder if... It almost seems like they would take a page out of Microsoft's book and say, well, here's the umbrella service. This is the one you want to migrate to because it just has all of our services under it. Like we won't have to worry about here's 3 or 4 different services. It's just... PS Plus.
Yeah.
And Sony brings back the Boomerang controller. No. That Boomerang controller always looked really comfortable.
No, it didn't. It looked
that poor
horrific.
Thing. I loved it. Lucian DC says, after saying that they're out of the mobile video game scene for good, Sony announces a smartphone-based games ecosystem and a bunch of exclusives. Expected hype is only lukewarm.
Sony Arcade for mobile.
Yeah, like I wonder if they would not part of your PS Plus plan. $25 a month for 5 games. Yeah. PS5 requires always online with no sharing of games after installation. History repeats itself.
Okay, let's just get this out of the way. All of the consoles require online all of the time right now as it is anyway. So let's just get over the phrasing of quote-unquote always online.
Right.
99.9% of the games that you play will not work if you are not connected to the internet.
Right.
That's the future we live in now, folks. The dark portent of the Microsoft One Xbox launch has come true. That's what we are in.
It was pretty true when the console launched. Like it was still there. They just kind of called it something different.
They didn't talk about it, and it was there from the day one. It's just like, okay, sure.
The PS5's backwards compatibility is horribly broken due to all of the work Sony put into making sure people could change their gamer tags. Man, that would be so good. It's like, we have this full backwards compatibility, but if you change your gamer tag...
You can't play anything that you bought before you change your gamer tag. That would be great.
That would be really great, where it's like, oh, there have been complications. That would be a Sony. That would be the Sony move of all Sony moves.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. Monkey Senior says Sony messes up backwards compatibility. Just, I appreciate the candor on that one. PS5 will have a weak selection of not also on PS4 games at launch. Yeah, because they don't have Game Pass, and even if PS Now works on PS5, that's not the experience you're looking for.
The thing you got to think is, like, we've known about the new generation of consoles for how many months? Like, we've known for months. The companies themselves have probably known for about 3 to 4 years what they're working on for the next generation, because that's how it goes. You release a console, you immediately start working on the next one.
Yep.
Maybe you get a week's vacation if you're lucky.
Sure.
Think of every single game that's coming to Game Pass. There's got to be a clause in that contract every single time saying we are okay to put this on Game Pass for the next generation when that is released day one.
Sure. Or like for all future generations. Yeah. State of Play finds a suitable host figure to break up the constant trailer after trailer.
Oh, yeah. Who's it going to be?
I would like that because, like, the lady narrator they have is fine, but it's very much like, and that game is coming from Sony Worldwide Studios spring 2020. And up next, a new trailer for blah, blah, blah. And it's like
you don't have a Reggie, you don't have a Major Nelson.
Right. You find someone. Yeah. 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 Reference him not by his military title, but by his name. Thank you.
His civilian name.
You're right, yes. Maximus Prime says they will start the year strong and that momentum will carry through to next gen. Final Fantasy VII Remake and The Last of Us 2 do great critically and financially.
Financially, yes?
Yeah, I think financially, yes, is a shoo-in. Critically, I think both of those are still in the air.
I'm still waiting. The thing that you pointed out, that Jason Schreier pointed out about the Final Fantasy game.
Yes.
It's literally part 1 of 3, and it doesn't say part 1 on the box.
By the way,
so many
part
people.
1 of something.
Yes.
They never said 3.
They've since gone back on 3, and they're like, no, it's just like part 1 of a series. They have said, we're totally working on part 2 recently, and it's like, yeah, but like drawing Cloud on a whiteboard and being like, I'm out of Midgard. All right, we're working on part 2. Like, that doesn't count.
The fact that it doesn't say anything to do with the fact that that's only the first section of the game.
Real shady.
I cannot wait.
Yeah, real.
The backlash will be real, and I can't wait specifically for people in the UK to get their mitts on this, because that is false advertising 101.
Yeah, the advertising laws are
sued into the ground.
I can't wait for people to try and return games saying like, but I don't have like the other discs. Like, it should be like 3 discs or so, because I just got the one, and it's not over, right? It's like,
Boston, only we are old enough to remember that games used to come out on multiple discs.
Well, we still have 1 year left on these consoles. There's plenty of time. Well, Red Dead Redemption 2 came on 2 discs.
No,
so
true.
Nobody bought it physically, but it did.
Yeah.
Did it? It did, yeah. There was an installed disc and a play disc.
Oh,
jeez, I didn't
like the old like GTA 5 on 360.
Yep.
It's always Rockstar. It's always Rockstar that does it. Unlike last gen, Sony closes out 2020 neck and neck with Microsoft. I think they're getting pretty close in 2019. I mean, that gap has closed very quickly. Thank you, Game Pass. It looks like this gen is going to be a lot closer battle. The winners are the gamers. Like, yeah, okay. You want someone to be your host for Sony's state of play? Maximus Prime is available for. He's got the marketing down already.
We know he loves Sony too.
That's right.
Has loved Sony. I don't know his current stance on Sony as of this date of this year.
Like any Sony fan, it wavers.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about general and overall predictions for 2019. Moon, you say PUBG struggles a lot, vanishes so far off the radar it might as well not exist anymore.
Give me a swish. That's a swish.
That's a slam dunk. I mean, PUBG's still around. They still patch it. There's still battle passes and all that. But boy, does no one care.
Nobody cares about PUBG anymore.
No one cares. And God, Fortnite just keeps getting bigger. Jeez. Your next prediction: Fortnite will die down a little bit this year, but nothing will come and take its place. Whoops, it got bigger.
Yep.
They shut the game down for 2 days.
I was saying, it died down for 2 days.
For 2 days, it totally died.
They literally destroyed it.
Right. Destiny 2 continues to disappoint. Yeah. I mean, it went free to play, but it's still the same Destiny. So like if it wasn't your jam before, it's still not your jam, but it's just free. Game.
You are the judge for this question. Did it continue to disappoint or not?
If you like Destiny 2, no, it continued to improve. If you didn't like Destiny 2, it's that still the same game. It's just free now.
I got that wrong then because I don't care about Destiny 2, so therefore it improved.
My little heart. Steam still doesn't make sense. Okay, it continues to make
context for this or not.
It continues to make really weird choices that don't make any sense. Steam tumblers itself. Oh, that's a good sentence. As a result, everyone has their own storefront. Oh my God, Moon! At least one of those storefronts is a failure. Oh my God, that was Discord. You got like 6 things right all in one paragraph. By the way, Steam tumblers itself is a great sentence.
Tumblr is a descriptive. I don't even think I've realized I said that until just now.
Yeah, it is a descriptive and a cautionary tale.
Yes.
God, you're right. Steam still doesn't make any sense. They redesigned Steam, and it still doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. Everyone totally has their own storefront. Take-Two just opened their own storefront, and one of them was a failure. That was Discord's. It was up for like 3 months, and they're like, no one's buying games. We're shutting it down. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, okay. Assassin's Creed DLC is amazing. I have heard it's incredible.
Me too. I have not played it because games, but yes.
Yes. Your super wishful thinking prediction, Anthem is amazing. Anthem is a game you really liked.
Yeah, but it's not amazing.
That's fair. Yeah.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe Anthem next. Yeah. I predict Atlas does something really foolish this year that causes major and irreversible backlash.
Catherine Full Body? Was that Atlas?
Yeah, but I think they ignored the problem and it went away. I don't believe it was a real problem to begin with, or like it was misunderstood. Mm-hmm. I still haven't played the game, but I don't think there was an irreversible backlash. Ouch. Loot boxes in the U.S. get formal legislation, which causes a few huge games to shut down, at least for a period.
It gets closer every day.
My prediction when I was listening to this episode recently to write all this down was that formal legislation would be the death of PUBG. I thought it was going to like shut down for a couple of weeks so we can just pull out loot boxes and we need like another month or two and then it just goes dark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A new mainline Final Fantasy game is announced this year. Nope. 15 is still going strong.
Nope. And so is 14. 7 Remake just keeps getting talked about like that's the biggest thing ever.
It's funny because like 15, 14, and 11 are all still going strong. THQ Nordic changes their name to just THQ, announces they have a press conference planned at E3 2020. Not yet on either.
No, but they're knocking on the door.
Yeah. All right. Gotta get my pen ready here. Community predictions. Musim says Persona 6 announced. Nope, Persona 5 Royal was announced, coming out March 30th, 2020. Shin Megami Tensei 5, no new announcements. Sadly, that is a +1. Anthem Bombs, oof, a succinct +1. Cyberpunk 2077 does not release in 2019. Just coming from behind here. Universal accounts for Warframe will happen. Parenthetically, no, it won't. By prediction, it will. I don't know what that means. I don't think that happened.
He's saying
no.
He's hoping that Universal accounts for Warframe happens, but he knows in his heart of hearts that it never will.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And it hasn't.
Yeah, and it probably never will. T-Bar Mark says, Ubisoft creates a Game Pass / EA Access type subscription service.
Nailed it.
Wow. Walmart creates its own game development or publishing division. Interesting. No. Surprised they haven't gotten into this market, but the price of SSD hard drives continues to drop in price. Yep. Digital game sales as a whole overtake physical game sales.
I don't think they've overtaken them, but it's getting real close.
Yeah, it's getting there. And I think the hard part is we don't know because they don't have to report.
Talks about digital.
They don't have to report digital game sales like they have to report physical ones, so we don't really know. And lastly, Konami announces a game in the Castlevania series, either new or remake.
Nope.
No, yeah.
They
did a bunch of collections.
Recently is Pro Evolution Soccer.
Well, there you go. Bearded Lady says THQ Nordic is going to be the new Sony at E3 in a good way. I thought they were going to take Sony's slot at E3, but BioWare announces the new Dragon Age.
We got a teaser trailer, so that counts as announcement.
Yeah, I was going to give a point for that one because they did, and then that was it. It's just like, I mean, we're working on it, whatever.
They literally just announced, and that was it.
Yeah. Servo says continued crossplay teases / opportunities.
I get the point. I get the point because teases is very appropriate considering how Sony have acted this year. Everything could be crossplay on our platform.
Well, and I think
I don't know why Sony sounds like Yoda all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think I'd give that a point, especially for Nintendo and Microsoft joining forces with Minecraft on Switch. Like, that whole sentence would have blown our minds like 2 years ago. So, yeah. Servo says it was the last year of E3.
Almost. We'll see what next year holds.
Yeah, The sometimes you look at it and the crows are circling. VR most. What's that?
Dead by Daylight? Are we playing that now?
Yeah. VR mostly remains a gimmick with no big releases.
Yep. Yeah. Alex is announced but not released, so that doesn't count. Still a gimmick.
And even then, I wouldn't count that as a big release anyway.
I feel like Beat Saber was a big release this year, but I don't think that elevated VR to like a must-buy home purchase.
I think Beat Saber was a positive and popular release. I don't think it was a big release. I think Alex is a big release because that's got a Half-Life in front of it. I don't know if it's going to be a popular release, but I would call that a big release and Beat Saber a popular release.
Yeah, because I think Beat Saber has the attachment rate where it's like if you have VR, you need Beat Saber because that's what you should buy. But yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. So he gets a point somewhere on this page. I think I already gave it to him. Gibbionator says Jump Force manages to subvert expectations and is actually pretty good. Sadly, no. Boy, that looked super promising when that was announced. It's a bummer. Bethesda announces the nuclear option, pun intended, for Fallout 76, pivoting to a fully free-to-play model in an attempt to bring back the player base.
They literally went the opposite direction.
They went screaming the opposite direction. Capcom announces Mega Man X9 to follow up on the relative success of Mega Man 11 and the X Legacy collections. No even hints or leaks or indications of that, surprisingly. Rapid Fire Yakuza releases from Sega. All 3 remasters and Project Judge, which is now called Judgment, will be out by year's end, capped off with a surprise announcement of a localized Yakuza Ishin. Half a point because a bunch of Yakuza stuff came out. Judgment came out. They announced all the remasters, but they're not all out yet, and Yakuza Ishin isn't out yet. If it ever comes out. Disney starts buying up smaller developers again because it's that time in the cycle for them to get back into making video games.
It's going to happen soon.
I think Disney Plus distracted them this year, but
that's actually a very good point, yeah.
2020, they have Disney Plus money now, so.
Yeah.
And that's Spider-Man cash. The Hannah says THQ Nordic officially becomes just THQ.
We're all just waiting for it.
Yeah, not yet. We'll just bring that forward next year. Steam loses significant market share to Epic. Oh. Yep.
I would say 100% yes, because despite the vocal minority being out there being like, I only win, it doesn't matter. It's a different icon on the same box. It's not a different console. Get over it, people.
Well, and you can only get Fortnite on PC on that launcher. Some of their early access stuff like Hades has done really well. Their free games have been really yeah, all right. Okay. I can agree with you.
Guarantee Epic is installed on a lot more computers than it was this time last year. And, of course, people are still going to be opening Steam on the same computer, so...
Yeah. Computer can run more than one application. It's not Windows 3.1.
Dude, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have Skype open and an audio recorder open and show notes open all at once.
I wish people could see my screen right now.
Dude, yeah.
There's a reason I have 3 monitors now.
Right, exactly. Demon's Souls Remastered. I would have thought that would have been a 2019 one, but... That's Neo and Neo 2. They're on that. Bethesda abandons Fallout 76. I like that it was such a disastrous launch, even in 2018, that this was a foregone conclusion. And Jeff Gerstmann remains a threat.
I mean, Jeff Gerstmann is always a threat.
Yeah, you get a +1 for that one because he is. That's why he's at URL. Maximus Prime says VR slips drastically as there are $400 all-in-one headsets crash and burn as they hit the market. I don't think they've crashed and burned. I think they've done
okay.
As well as they can for a $400 headset.
And something I didn't realize but learned about very recently is the Quest, which is the inside-out all-in-one headset, can now be hooked up to a PC to act as an Oculus.
Oh, cool. I don't think I knew that.
Rift. So you can get Rift quality in the Quest just by hooking it up to your PC with a specific set of cables. Literally, It's the best option of everything. And it works with the controllers.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Uh-oh, did I just sell Boston on buying a VR set?
Hell no. PC gaming hits an all-time high right before the next generation of consoles comes into play. Consoles and PC have been stable. They've always been stable. Nobody is really... We're getting to the point in the generation where a handful of people switch over to PC because video cards are cheap enough and they look so much better than consoles, but it's not like 25% of PS4 players are like, put that thing up on eBay because I'm going to the PC. It's never that many people. The introduction of the Unreal Store gives Steam real competition and disrupts the PC game store space, saving us all a lot of money from the crazy sales they each put together to steal Unreal and retain Steam market share. I mean, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The market share on that is far larger than I think we would have expected. Thankfully, Fortnite's insane popularity tapers off as the market is flooded with battle royale games that all cannibalize one another's sales.
Yes and no.
Yeah, I feel like everybody has tried a battle royale, but I feel like Blackout and Call of Duty is the only one that's really had any traction.
Apex Legends.
Fair. I love Apex, and I keep forgetting about it, and that's on me, Respawn. That is not on you. have it installed on my PS4, and I keep forgetting about it.
Well, honestly, I consider Apex to be with the 3 major battle royals anyway. You got PUBG, Fortnite, and Apex. And then you've got Call of Duty and...
Yeah. Well, I would say it's actually, at this point, I would argue it's Fortnite, Apex and Blackout. And because I think PUBG just doesn't have the audience anymore, especially with how popular Blackout's been. But I think Mac gets a point here. That was Red Faction Guerrilla 2 is announced at E3, and I jump up and knock over my beer, ruining my Xbox One controller from the excitement.
Go away.
Half a point, because he probably knocked over his beer and ruined his Xbox controller.
That's true. We did get the remastered edition.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Late Elf says, predictions 1 through 5, please just let Battle Royale die out. Boy, we all just not in the mood for the Battle Royale explosion in 2018.
Oh boy, is everybody going to be disappointed with my game of the year this year.
There you go.
Oh, sorry, correction. Oh boy, was everybody disappointed with my game of the year.
Right. Real Name says, the death of paid-for loot boxes / pay-to-win mechanics.
Oh, I wish. So much.
I think we're seeing more of that, like Rocket League is sort of leading the charge of that, where it's like, I was
going to say, as of this recording, Rocket League's update just went through where we don't have loot boxes anymore. They have the blueprints.
Yeah, sort of voluntarily doing that.
Yeah.
Epic Store to surpass Steam?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't think it's surpassed it, but boy, it's making inroads.
They still don't have a shopping cart where you can put more than one thing.
Fair, yeah. And the very last prediction of 2019, Anthem to be amazing. I'm sorry. I wanted it to be
so young and so naive.
I know. We all had high hopes. All right, well, let's talk about our general / overall predictions for 2020, starting with you, Moon.
I got 2, because I'm not going to do a deep dive into any individual people. Well, any... You know what I mean. Whatever.
Yeah.
Prediction number 1, probably a nice easy point for me here. Stadia struggles.
Oh, yeah?
Becomes kind of like VR, where a few people have it and a few people love it, and the rest of us just don't care.
Yeah.
Second prediction, speaking of, VR continues to struggle, gets a relatively, quote-unquote, relatively big boom with the Index coming out and then Alex being on it.
Right.
And then promptly goes back to status quo with VR, where a bunch of people will be like, it's cool, but it's another shooting gallery.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all my general predictions. I just didn't want to go down everybody else.
Yeah.
So it's going to be on you when we're all playing our VR Stadia headsets.
That's right.
When you all want to go into Ready Player One in real life, you guys go right ahead.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, Nimp, how about your predictions?
All right. My first prediction is that except for main staples, there will be very few console exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I'm not talking like how we're seeing Halo on PC now, because I kind of incorporate the Xbox stuff on PC to be kind of one and the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a re-release.
Still Microsoft. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which goes into my next prediction, which is most games, including JRPGs, will be available on PC.
Oh, okay.
So, we are slowly starting to see that with JRPGs slowly coming to PC now.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, if that ever happens, I won't need consoles anymore. So.
There you go. You're finally free.
Come on, Monster Hunter started that trend. Learn from Monster Hunter, folks.
Exactly. Right. And my last prediction is that there will be no video game controversies.
I love your optimism.
Speaking of naive.
Right.
No, that wasn't naive. That was my blue sky wishful thinking.
Yeah, I like it. I think Stadia will fail to take off once it's out publicly. Mm-hmm. I think that's in like the March timeframe when like everyone can. I think Google is sort of expecting like once everyone can get in, it's going to really take off. I think we get a shutdown announcement of Stadia before the start of 2021.
Ooh, are we going that deep?
By the end of 2020, Google is already pulling the plug.
Do they do full refunds?
No, absolutely not. No, I don't think Google will do refunds of any type.
Did Ouya do refunds?
No. They were out of money. So. Yeah. They had no money to give for refunds. Square Enix will announce Final Fantasy 16 at E3. I'm just going to roll this right on forward. Now that the first part of Final Fantasy 7 has launched, it's still a few years off.
Did they announce 7 Part 2 after 7 Part 1 has come out?
I was thinking about writing that down, but I think it's genuinely a 50-50. I think either they talk about the exceptional sales and critical reception Final Fantasy VII has gotten in their E3 press, and they maybe like tease a shot of like some scene from later in the game, but I don't think they say, "Hey, Part 2, here we go. It's coming out in 2021." I don't think they...
You think they show like a teaser trailer for one of the weapons?
Something like that, yeah. Like they show a ruby weapon, like 2 seconds, and then they're like, "All right, that's the end of the press conference. See you later." And then, wait, is it? Oh no, it's really far off. I have a crazy one here.
Okay.
I think Netflix will announce a dedicated gaming division with an intention to offer games in the cloud via their existing service.
Well, they did do The Walking Dead on Netflix.
Yeah, I think their usage of Twine for their choose your own adventure stuff, I think, and the success of that stuff, like the Black Mirror one, I think that will embolden them, and I think they will announce some sort of gaming division. I think they're going to grow beyond that stuff, but I think original programming like that might be their beginning point, and then they sort of grow beyond that. But I think that's going to be a main focus for them in 2020 for no real reason. All right, let's get into the community one. Musim says Google makes a standalone portable Stadia, requires a data plan from a phone company.
Oh, you mean the Pixel 2?
Yeah, like I love that Musim's prediction is like, instead of going the direction like fix the problem, they're gonna go the total opposite direction, where it's like, well, you guys wanted a portable one, here you go, only available at AT&T. Like, oh boy. Square Enix announces the Final Fantasy VII remake for Xbox One 2. Interesting. That'd be interesting, where it's like, it's on PS4 and PS5, but it's really good on the Xbox One 2.
Did Sony throw any money behind that? Because it makes sense that they've shown it a lot there, but with all the other Final Fantasies coming out to the Xbox...
I think they threw marketing money behind it, if I was to guess, and I think that locked down an exclusive, but for probably only like 6 months or a year. Shin Megami Tensei 5 not released, no updates given. I'll just give you a point now for that one. Optimus Servo predicts crossplay becomes standard. Please let 2020 be the year. Specifically
for crossplay, I don't even care if you've got to give me an account name associated with my Xbox profile or whatever. Like, okay, when I sign in as Moonpier on my Xbox and I load up Warframe, you give me the Warframe account Moonpier7264 or whatever it is, just like Discord. Sure. Because then I can get Musim on his PlayStation version of his Warframe account and then play together with Musim7462 on the PlayStation version.
Perfect.
That's the stuff I want. To be able to just do that and then go into game chat and be like, well, I can't invite you to a party, so I guess we're stuck on stupid game chat while we wait.
Right. Stadia remains a poor gimmick. Yeah. I feel like Stadia is this year's Battle Royale games will die out prediction. So, and he says last year of E3. This is kind of the breaking year. T-Bomb Rock says Konami announces another entry in the Silent Hill franchise.
Kojima's already talking about working on a horror game, and wouldn't it be hilarious if he licensed stuff from Konami?
That would be like the biggest turnaround. Like it would be so crazy for Konami to announce another game, number one, and then for them to go back to Silent Hill after this time would be crazy. And then it's just like, oh yeah, by the way, we got Kojima back.
No, we got Kojima Productions to make it.
That's true. Kojima has left Kojima Productions over creative differences with Konami. Steam will offer its own Game Pass-style monthly game service. Oh. Interesting.
I think that might be a good call if Steam gave a crap about anything.
That is fair. Yeah. I have nothing to add on top of that. Stadia will change its platform style and offer a Game Pass monthly subscription model. Please. It's insane that Stadia doesn't. Please. Late Elf, or that guy on Twitter, whatever you please, says 2020 is the year Nintendo figures out that players want baked-in communications, in-game communication. This will not be resolved outside of Japan until 2032. I will see you in 12 more years, so I can give you that point then. TVGP episode 1500. I'll give you your point.
Wow. 2032 is 12 years away. Wow, that's so much closer than I thought as soon as you said that number.
It's the future.
It's the
right
future.
In the palm of our hand.
Real soon.
Yeah. Nintendo talks about an ultra-light Switch. Sony fields ads for an app that lets you legally play PS1 games on your phone. And Microsoft says, it's not really our focus at this time. Then tries to sell ideas to Niantic for ARGs. That's a lot of stuff to unpack there. A lot of that seems to be pie in the sky dreams.
Yeah, but if Microsoft got their AR stuff off the ground running well, the person you want to go to is Niantic.
Right.
They did whatever that game was called. Then they did Pokemon Go.
Yeah, Ingress, I think it was called.
Yes.
Yeah. Harry Potter, Wizards Unite, whatever those 4 words are.
Talking about Halo Infinite, stick on these glasses and go capture that point down the road.
That's right. My backlog will grow exponentially until I'm forced to finish Xbox 360 games, while the rest of you are playing the newest NeuroStim VR edition of Skyrim.
Dude, I still have The Witcher 2 installed on my Xbox One X.
Yeah. Just bring that right over to Scarlet. Just copy that right over. Winemaker Joe says Stadia bleeds users and they give more free games and discounts to try and keep people. More free games and discounts seems like their logical next step. Where it's like if you're a founding member, you get an extra free game too. You know, that sort of thing. Final Fantasy VII Remake breaks sales records. Probably. If it does, Square Enix will not shut up about it.
Yeah, I say it breaks sales records, and then it immediately breaks returns records.
Right. The game isn't finished yet. It's like, well, got bad news for you. Nintendo 64 Classic announced. I like that the dream, someone is carrying
continues.
That torch. Yeah. TVGP alumnus The Hannah says, Stadia dies a slow, quiet death.
It ain't going to be quiet. It's going to be loud.
That's what I was going to say. Like, Google will plant their feet and start screaming about the internet just not getting the genius of Stadia. I bet it won't be. It'll be slow, but it'll be very...
You people aren't ready for this.
Right. God, you just don't understand our vision. Yeah. A prominent Twitch streamer says something hateful. I mean, that's the center point of bingo. Like,
that's Wednesday.
Yeah, that's just, yeah. Destiny PS4 load times somehow get worse. I mean, I don't want to say they're gonna, but they're gonna. It's just, please let me play Destiny 2 on PS5. I just want the load times to be better. Lucian DC says the new TV show about the making of Doom creates great interest from the general public, resulting in a string of terrible reality TV shows about game development.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
We already have terrible TV shows about game development. I know there's at least 2 of them on Netflix.
That's probably true, yeah.
Yeah, they're mostly like web-based though. It's a bit like Drive to Survive. It's one of my best reality shows ever, and it's all about Formula One, and the only people who have heard about it are fans of Formula One.
That's true, yeah. Moonpier's hard drive is still near max because of all the great games that come out in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Another
free
space.
Right now, Moon?
I dropped down a lot, and then we just got a whole bunch of stuff installed. So
we should timestamp it now. That way, when Boston listens to this in a year, we can ask you what you're at. Next,
right.
You know.
I think currently I'm at 90% between 4.5 terabytes.
Chances are good.
And you can't increase the size to cheat the system.
That's right.
No, I'm going to increase the size, and it's going to be 8.5 terabytes, and it's going to be 96% full.
Right. Valve teases a Half-Life 3 in their new VR game, then is radio silent to no one's surprise.
Oh, that's a good call.
That's a really good one, where it's like, you know, it ends on another teaser, and they're like...
She turns around and sees, like, Gordon in the mirror or something like that, and then
right.
he's not there, and it's just like, wait, what?
And it just says, to be continued. And that's
Continue the fight. Finish the fight. Yeah. Monkey Senior says, cross-progression becomes a standard on multi-platform games.
I hope so.
That seems to be much more of an attainable ask for a lot more games. That seems to be... Please put in Apex Legends. Please. That's the one I really want.
Mm-hmm.
Cross-play becomes a standard on multi-platform multiplayer games.
It should be.
Please. Society breaks down for at least a week because of March/April releases.
Yes.
I like this the idea that we're just all going to turn feral because we probably will. March 20th is going to be a real
vacation.
Dark day. Yeah. Maximus Prime wraps out our final predictions here, saying the season pass is slapped onto everything and they do well, but the extended life of games starts to show that we'll have far less AAA games in the future as games as a service becomes the mainstay.
Yep. So might as well give him a point already for that, Boston.
I don't know. I feel like we're sort of starting to see a pushback on games as a service now, and I feel like the launch of the new consoles...
We are seeing that as a pushback a little bit from us.
Sure.
The people who love to play Dead by Daylight, Destiny, Elite Dangerous, and so on and so forth.
15 games that all have the same battle pass.
Mm-hmm. That we all have to play consistently.
Right.
But then also we produce a show every week, so we also have to play other games and new stuff, because otherwise this would become the Dead by Daylight, Elite Dangerous, and Destiny 2 show.
Well, we talked about this probably about a month ago on the show, saying like the next generation of consoles is going to be the make or break point for games as a service, because if I can't really early on fire up Destiny 2 on my PS5 and all my stuff just kind of moves over, that's going to be a real big problem for me.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting.
I mean, the thing is I can expect it from Destiny. I can, because that's Bungie, and they have a room bigger than this full of money.
I can expect it from Fortnite, because I can bring my stuff on my phone already. Like that's an expectation.
I don't know about Frontier, Elite Dangerous developers.
Right.
And I don't know about the Dead by Daylight developers. Those two things seem like teams of like 20 people. Yeah,
the Dead by Daylight team, a very passionate team, but a relatively small team for the game they're making. Yeah. Game streaming services struggle to get a footing as the reality of broadband speeds and bandwidth caps prove that very few people can rely on game streaming as a way to play games on a regular basis. Google is stuck in the middle waiting for the very thing that made it what it is, the internet, to catch up to its premature goals as the first largely successful games streaming service. Yes. To put it succinctly, yeah, Google has fought against the internet for the longest time, and that's probably going to be Stadia's downfall. It's the same thing that has been the downfall of every streaming service that has tried to come out, and there's a reason why no one's done any for a while. It's because the internet is still not great.
And it also doesn't help that Google was the biggest force behind fiber, and then they even dropped doing that.
They dropped out of making fiber,
Yeah.
Whoops. And lastly, we will finally buy a Switch, and for the first time since my wife and I have been married and had children, she starts playing video games again. Thank goodness. Hopefully.
May I recommend Pokemon?
There you go. Sword or Shield. Pokemon Swish.
Yes.
Whichever one. They're both good. Okay. So before we get into most correctest here at the very end, let's talk about games we're looking forward to in 2020 to wrap out this whole deal. Moon, let's start with you.
Okay. I could do this all in one sentence, but I won't. I'll give you 2 words about why each one.
Sure.
Start with the obvious one, Doom Eternal. You've heard me talk about Doom 2016. You know why I'm excited about this game.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077.
Sure.
Give it to me. Inject it into my veins, quite literally based on the way that thing looks.
Right.
Dying Light 2. I need to be on this day one.
Right.
Because I think Dying Light 1 is one of the most underrated games of this generation.
Right.
Like, that game is incredible, and Dying Light
good.
2 needs some love.
Yeah.
Halo Infinite, because I need to know what it is.
Yep.
System Shock.
Aha, right.
Because I have never played System Shock games. My first System Shock game was BioShock.
Right.
So I want to see what all that hype and fuss was about, and I want to see if you can go back. Very similar to a show called Old Dog New Flicks. I want to see if I can go back and enjoy these old things.
Right.
Yakuza 7, because I want to pull open a phone, I want to press a button and have lobsters rain from the sky.
Yep. Click, click, click.
Yep. Watch Dogs Legion.
Yes.
Because I want that granny to be my main character, and I want that granny to survive the whole game.
Yep. I want her in every cutscene.
And a weird one, hopefully it comes out next year, speaking of small studios making smaller games, Oddworld Soulstorm.
Right.
Because the Oddworld series of games have always had a special place in my heart.
Yep.
Always. From the first release to the most recent release, they've all been unique and special and very... People always talk about the Double Fine personality, which is usually just goofy writing. I feel like the Oddworld games have all been so special and full of personality in a completely different way.
Yeah.
And I want the new one to be great. And I want to be able to then look back at the old games and the people I used to play the old games with that fondness in a new game.
Yeah.
And that's all. That's all. And 1,000 more unreleased games that I haven't even seen yet.
Nimp, how about you?
So, Halo Infinite, because I also want to know what this game is supposed to be.
Right.
Where they're picking up, where they're dropping off.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
Where we landing, boys.
Yeah, it's got to be a ride. Someone's continuing a fight somewhere.
That's right.
Cyberpunk 2077.
Yep.
Just because I'm really looking forward to playing another type of game, or another game like this.
Mm-hmm.
And Keanu Reeves is in it too. Why not?
How can you go wrong?
Yakuza 7.
Yep.
Because as Moon said, I am ready for another Japanese badass crazy game.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And this looks to be the baddest. So it's going to be fantastic. And the last one that I am actually really looking forward to is Final Fantasy VII, the remake, Part 1.
Yeah, yes, Part 1.
I cannot get excited about it.
I can get excited about it just because I just want to see everything up-resed.
Mm-hmm.
And see how they flesh it out.
Yeah, if it crashes and burns after this one, I would be sad, but depending on how the first one goes, I may be happy that there was an attempt.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Out of curiosity, is this also going to be possibly a chance to introduce your kids to a game that may or may not have affected you so much when you were a kid?
It is, because my son has started playing 7, because I bought when they released it for the PS4, what was it, last year before?
The remaster, yeah.
Well, yeah, the whatever they're calling it, but he really enjoys that. And he's been interested in the game because ever since that came out, I've only had the Midgar background for my PS4, which plays the Aerith theme song. Right. And he's always been interested in that song. And I haven't been telling him anything about it because it's a huge spoiler.
That's right.
So he started playing it and he's pretty far into it. And he's also as curious to see how this game turns out. He's seen the videos of Cloud. He was really excited when they showed Tifa and Aerith and all that. So, and he's really interested in seeing how they deal with the monsters in the game because he saw the sewer monster.
Yeah,
he's like, he really loved the way they did the sewer monster because he can see aspects of that monster from the original game and this one.
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't really recognize it at first because of how different it was.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's not 10 polygons anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he's excited for the same things I am. I just really want to see what it looks like in today's graphics.
Yeah.
And if they just put tech demo in front of it, whatever.
Right. My list, Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
There's one I forgot about.
Yeah, one of my more anticipated sequels. I wasn't expecting really loving the first one. I'm really expecting the second one to be something special. Final Fantasy VII Remake, for all the reasons we're talking about. Doom Eternal, because of course. Darksiders Genesis, I know it came out in 2019 on PC and Stadia. It's coming out in February on consoles. That's where I'll play it. Mm-hmm. Guilty Gear Strive. Oh, God, does that look good? The more they show off of that, the more is like, cool, I made a mistake skipping the third Guilty Gear, and I need to not do that with this one. So check out this time next year for when I say, I should have played Guilty Gear Strive.
Yes.
Psychonauts 2, I'm hoping is still going to come out in 2020.
Speaking of never playing the first one.
Yeah, first one is now probably fine to rough, so Psychonauts 2 should hopefully be pretty good. Robotics Notes Elite. It's a visual novel if you didn't guess already. It's in like Steins Gate universe, so this is like the one that everybody says like, boy, if you liked those other ones in this series, this one is really good. So excited for that one. Rune Factory 5, because it looks...
I wanted to put that on my list, but unless I buy a Switch, I will not play that game because it's Rune Factory.
Yeah, I haven't played any of the other ones, but boy, this one looks like a really good introduction into the series and also a downward spiral into madness. So, not sure which one. Streets of Rage 4 is looking really good. This one is more of a, like, I'm cautiously optimistic about it because everything they show off looks really great, but I'm hoping that one is good. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Quarantine. There's something about that.
That ain't coming out next year, dude.
I know. They say it will, but probably not. No, there's breakpoint raids that they have to make. There's something about that game that I think still looks really cool.
Well, dude, it's the Siege engine, but it's co-op against like PvE stuff.
Yeah.
I am 100% in on that. The reason that's not on my list is because it ain't coming out next year.
I know, sadly. Twin Mirror. 2020, right, guys?
Yeah.
Watch Dogs Legion, obviously. Yakuza Like a Dragon, obviously. Tunic, the cute fox game.
Coming out next year.
Likely coming out in 2020 because they keep saying they're almost done with it. I would really like that for that to happen because it looks stupid cute and I really want to play it. And finally, of course, Skull and Bones. 2020, right, guys?
There we go.
More like E3 2020. Yeah. Okay, so we are all done with all of our predictions. We're all done with this entire episode. So, of course, we have to crown 2019's most correctest.
The Hannah is blocked from this. He is not allowed to win.
Bad news for you. So, third place, Late Elf with 5 points. Congratulations, Late Elf. A tie for second place, Musim and T-Bomb Rocks, both at 6 points.
Both the most correctest, joint top correctest people this year because the Hannah is disqualified. He is not allowed to be the most correctest.
Number one, with a bullet, with 8 points, the Hannah. Nostradamus, the Soothseer.
Yeah, because some of those weren't even like... He was way too on point with some of his guesses.
Yeah, a little scary. Yeah, Time Traveler Extraordinaire, the Hannah. Congratulations to Hannah for winning yet another. He hasn't had an unbroken chain, but he's won 2 or 3 at this point in the 12 years of this show's life. So.
Dude, I think at this point he's won like 5 or 6, to be completely honest.
That's really why he left the show, because his predictions were too good.
He needed to be most correctest again.
That's right. So congratulations to the Hannah, and congratulations to you, the listener, and you, the Nymph and Moon, for getting through this episode. The 2.5 hours did it again of this episode. Thank you so much. This wraps up our 2019 coverage. Next week, we will be back to our regularly scheduled programming. I want to take a second to thank you, the listeners, the viewers, the patrons, everybody who's continued on our 12th year of this incredibly dumb and very important show, to us at the very least. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, you'll, especially over these next... Oh, sorry, correction. Especially over the past few weeks, you will have heard us complain about how much of a chore this can be sometimes.
Yes.
It doesn't take away from it. It doesn't...
Yeah.
Like, the game nights, the groups that we play with, you know, the people who we talk to on Discord.
Yeah, Discord especially, yeah.
Like, occasionally it can be a job. This can be a job. It kind of is a job for all of us. Like, that's what this kind of is. But at the same time, it's a fun job that you get to play and communicate with your friends and have conversations and meet more people. And
we get to record this show with our friends every week. Like, that's a rare occasion for a lot of people.
Yeah. And as people who work too much or have kids, or in Nim's case, both of those,
right.
It can be some sanity that we need, but also it's cool having everybody else along for the ride too.
Yeah.
And like, we've said it before, like, if you ever want to play games with us and stuff, you just hit us up on messages. We are not Jeff Gersman. We are not getting 5,000 messages a day that we have to sift through them for the good things.
Right.
Just hit us up. Most of us are pretty reciprocal when it comes to messages.
Yep.
Most of us. I'm usually trying to sleep at weird hours, so if I don't get back to you, I'm probably dead to the world right now.
Yeah. If you're in the UK, Nim's the one you want to talk to. If you're in America, you talk to me or Boston.
Right.
Yeah, I know plenty of Australian people now, oddly enough.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So thank you very much, everyone. Hope you enjoyed some of these, our favorite episodes we do every year, these last 2 episodes of the year. We hope everybody had happy holidays, and we'll have a happy new year. We'll see you in 2020. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
The future is here.
The future is now.